God. Did you just get the exact same nervousness as our very first episode?
Yeah, it felt like a roller coaster.
Yeah. I like saw on your face
Not
the
ready.
horror that I just felt in my bones,
Did you
my
feel
soul,
it down
my
to your,
pumpkin.
Yeah, your pumpkin down to the fingertips a little bit. Oh my
Yeah.
god, why does it feel like that sometimes?
Because it's our season finale.
I know it's our season. I was gonna say, guys,
guys,
we made it to a full this
full
is our
year,
full year
which
mark
is-
for you all. We're a
Yeah.
little bit earlier. We're
But
batching, but
apparently that's I think if I remember correctly, we recorded our first 2 episodes back to back on October 13th last year. We're
Oh, shit.
recording
So,
today
yeah,
on
we're-
the 9th, so it's almost exactly a year.
yeah, because I was telling you I got a time hop of paint. Like I got the keys to the office on the 9th, which is today,
yeah.
9th of October, and not for you guys,
But for us, which is all we care about.
clearly. But yeah, and then we painted it, I think, on the 11th. So yeah.
Oh my God, I love
yeah,
that.
it's so
That's
weird. So yeah, happy
cute.
anniversary, everybody.
Yeah, happy Halloween anniversary.
Yeah, happy
pod
Halloween.
birthday. Yeah, all
So
of
weird.
the things.
Oh my
I mean, I
gosh.
guess this isn't technically our Halloween. Is this our Halloween episode? This
yeah,
is our Halloween
yeah, the
episode.
28th,
Yes.
28th for you
Yeah,
guys.
time
Yeah.
is even less real to me than it usually is
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah,
So
you've heard us talk. Siena hit their goal
Yeah.
on Seed and Spark. So thank everyone who
officially,
donated
thank
to
you
that.
so
I don't know why
much.
I'm
I'm-
thanking everybody.
You're one of the people who donated, Al. Thank you, actually. Thank all of you so much. I just I don't want to talk about it for too long because I will start crying, but
Aw.
way more of
Cry.
you like
Talk about it. Cry.
I'm so overwhelmed with feelings. Just so many more of you and people who I've never met who listen to the show
Yeah.
donated to my weird art than I expected. And truly every tiny little bit helps so much, and I'm just over the moon that we get to record this on the day that it hit the goal.
Yeah.
It's really
There's
it's
all these
special.
things. So should we say
Yeah.
for the season finale? Season
Yeah.
finale. We're coming back in 2
Yeah.
weeks, you guys. Don't get
Yeah,
don't
there's
get
no
it- don't-
break.
Yeah, there's
It's
no
just-
break for us. But welcome back to the Halloween episode of Splice
and Splatter, the film podcast presented by the Jean Cocteau Cinema in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where classic horror.
It's modern gore.
I'm
This is
getting
why is
all
this gonna make me
teary.
emotional?
I know.
Also, if someone starts crying, I'm like, it's kind of game over for me. I'm like, oh.
yeah. No, if one, it's like yawns. It's contagious. One person
Yeah.
cries, I cry.
Yeah, totally.
Good. Well, let's see where this leads us.
Oh gosh, yeah. I'm like, do we
Do we jump right in?
I think so.
How do we
So-
do this? I've forgotten.
I know,
everything.
right? Does it feel like the slate got wiped clean on me
It
today?
really did. I was telling Warren as I was walking in and hoping that you didn't hear me saying this.
No, because I scared you as soon as
Yeah,
I was
you did.
preparing.
Really effectively, too. But I was telling Warren, I was like, I did all of my usual prep. I
Yeah.
have really long notes.
Yeah, same.
I feel like I remember nothing.
Me too.
Oh, good. Thank God.
Oh, shit.
It's all gone, Al. It's
Yeah.
gone.
We gave too much in the last one that we left it all in the podcast floor.
This is the episode that I really need to have the tinfoil hat to
We
hold
do
the
still
juices
have them
in.
here.
Oh,
So if
look
you
at
want
that.
one.
I love that you kept
There you
them. I might take
We're gonna
one
put
of
them in a
those to set
museum
with
one
me.
day.
Yeah.
Your director's cap. That
just
would
need
be
to-
fitting.
I need to flatten it into a beret.
Oh yeah.
A tinfoil beret.
We'll make you a little scarf out of tinfoil too.
ascot. Oh my God.
When we come to set.
Director Fitz, come at me.
Yeah, I feel like I forgot this too. So we're covering again. Happy Halloween week, everybody, and Halloween. Yes, thank you.
That's
and
what I'm here
so
for. That's all I've got. That's
Yeah,
your
that's
pun
the
for
end
the
of the
episode.
pun.
We're done.
you're just gonna say them, not even know.
Yeah, truly.
So we're doing 2 of our. I think this was definitely on my top 5. At the very start of this, so it feels again very full
I
circle that
love
this comes back
that.
around. But we're doing Nightmare on Elm Street and
Halloween too.
Yeah, Rob Zombie's Halloween
Which
too.
I don't know why we just introduced each other's movies.
Me either.
Yeah.
Again. Do you want to do my note? Actually, let's just swap notes.
Oh, perfect. I honestly feel like I might be more prepared for that.
Mine are weirdly extra organized.
Oh, I
this
love
week,
that.
too,
I
because
wish
I'm
I could say the same.
afraid
Oh,
to
these
talk
are-
about this.
I
movie.
took some of the longest notes that I've taken in a long time, and I
many
just but there's no
I have like 8
organization.
pages.
Yeah. I think it's 9.
Oh, damn. Yeah, look at us
which is long
go.
for me. Yeah.
So, well, tidbit?
Yes,
Tid?
I have 2 tids.
Oh, sweet. I've got a 2 tit or 2.
Oh.
Got 2 taters. I got 2 taters.
Would you say it's
Siena?
Wait, I just got a merch idea.
The titter
Everybody,
twisty?
yes, yes, the titty twister, the titty twister. We have to. We must. T-I. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah. T-I-D-D-Y.
Yeah.
We'll get totally a cease and desist for that. But yeah.
Or T-I-D.
It's just our faces with a
dash
titty
Y.
twisty.
Yes.
And you say you came with nothing. You're all welcome for that. Oh my god.
I will pay you so much money for
I
this.
might make that. Yeah. It'll be your wrap gift.
I don't care if nobody else ever buys this. I'll buy all of them.
The titty twister. Oh my god, that's from here forth. Those are what the notes or the tids are called.
That's what the office should be called. We should have a sign that
Titty twister.
The titty twister. Okay.
Oh my god.
So our 2 titter.
Our 2 titter.
Oh my god. All right, so first of all, just like a little tee-up tid, I have a Rob Zombie quote about Nightmare on Elm Street for you, which I thought was like a fun little,
oh my god, that's great.
Fun little thing to start. He said they interviewed him for this oral history of Nightmare that I have the full title of it somewhere on here, but that was one of the main resources that I used for this. I linked to it in my notes. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there. So he said, I placed Craven with that first wave of outlaw horror directors. Him, John Carpenter, Tobe Hooper, George Romero.
Mm-hmm.
As kids, we never even called them horror movies. We called them monster movies. Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy started a new wave of iconic monsters, which, like, yeah,
that's where, like, I feel like
chef's kiss.
Again the seed for him. Yeah,
the bad seed, if you will.
Truly, I have a quote. I wonder if that's from. I have a quote later about him talking about. I don't know which horror movie now, but I wonder if it came from the same thing because he was doing like a oral history about like horror. I wonder if it's the same thing.
It very well could be. And then my main tid is on the voice of Freddy.
Yes.
Which, I'm assuming because this is one of those cases where I don't have the recording of him saying this. I don't know what kind of like body language he was giving. It's probably sarcastic.
Okay, got it.
England said the way that he found Freddy's voice, his like raspy voice, was, quote, I sat in the barber chair in David Miller's makeup shop, hours and hours of trial and error, while David poked at me with his crusty brushes.
Ew.
I grew more and more profane. That's how I started to find the voice of Freddy. Which,
oh my god, just
one more
poked,
reason,
honestly.
Yeah, one more reason we
king.
love. Yes, exactly. Our overstimulated king.
Being like, dry brush. That's so funny. Oh, I love that.
Another reason to love practical FX. It helps you get into the character.
Totally. Oh my god, I love watching like what people do in those process because I think I would. I don't think I'd do well with getting prosthetics for that long on my face. So I would feel trapped.
This is why you need somebody like, oh my gosh, what's his name?
Jim Carrey.
New Zealand guy.
Oh, not Jim Carrey. Well, because him and the Grinch is like a very notorious special effects.
Like, and the like makeup. Chain smoking and the Grinch makeup. But yeah, this is why you need my New Zealand guy to like soothingly talk to you.
The hot one?
Yeah. Richard Taylor? I think that's his name. I don't know.
Right?
Something like that.
Moving on.
My brain is soup, you guys.
Yeah, we talked about
right
this.
now. Yeah. Hit me with your 2-bit.
Mine's like not exciting.
Excellent.
It's just
my favorite
funny,
kind of
and I wanted to put it in there. So in Rob Zombie's Halloween the word fuck and its derivatives are used 112 times in the film.
Its derivatives. Oh my god, I love that. So
112 times. There's a lot of fucks.
That's a lot of fucks. It's a lot of fucks to give.
Yeah, it's a lot of fucks to give. Give out all of them. And then there's at 45 minutes and 20 seconds when Lori wakes up from the nap and then talks to like her little bear. The eye chart in the background says fucked. Yeah, so it maybe 113 times.
There
if
you go.
Count that.
Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of fun to note. That's an obscene number.
That's almost as many as Quentin Tarantino's kill count.
Oh my god, yeah.
From That's still dawn.
That's true. That was like 122.
It was like 120,
Yeah.
27, I think, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. I
That's
think
so
it was
funny.
127 because I was thinking
Well,
about
for every fuck
127
that was
hours.
given, a
Yeah.
person was killed.
Yeah,
And
by
Dusk
Quentin
Till Dawn.
Tarantino.
Yeah, by Quentin Tarantino personally.
Personally, with his bare hands. You heard it here
Oh my
first,
god, I love
fellas.
talking about that one. That was such a fun episode.
That was a really good one.
I'm going first. Should I just go?
Just
Start?
how do we do this again?
Count me down. 3, 2, 1. Give me an
And
action.
action. Where's
Covering-
my tin director ascot? when
Yeah,
I
we
need
gotta
it?
get Warren, get on that.
Yeah.
So covering Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 from 2009.
Indeed.
Again, the era of all things, just past the era
Mm-hmm.
of like my golden years of horror film that I seem to love.
Aw.
So, it
Same
was
as Jennifer's Body, right? I think so.
Jennifer's
Or-
Body again. That was one that I just watched for the
Oh, yeah,
podcast,
that's
so I have like
right.
no concept of when that came out.
Ah, again, time's not real. Move
Yeah,
on.
honestly, from
quickly.
From like my graduation year, which was
Mhm.
2007,
Mhm.
to probably 2015. I feel like those are just muddled years because that was like also like formative years too.
Yeah, but not
What
a
you're
good
in
way.
right now.
Oh no.
Yeah, I feel like it was just pure chaos.
Yeah.
and I can't
Soup.
track those. Yeah,
it's the soup.
truly.
I'm in the soup.
truly you were in the soup.
Yeah.
So 2009.
Mm-hmm.
It was released in theaters on August 28th, 2009. Keep that
Uh-huh.
in mind. We're going to talk
Okay.
about that later. And
Moving
also
on.
important to note for later, which we'll probably get to pretty fast. This was a product of the dear old, and I say that with all the disdain in the world, the dear old Weinstein Company and Dimension
Yep.
Films.
Yep.
So
Good old dementia.
Dementia Films. I knew you were going to say it.
have
So
to.
keep that
Yeah.
just in mind.
Oh, yeah,
That's a
100%.
preface.
Mhm.
So description, obviously, well, I should just start. I actually know what. I know where I'm going to start off. I should have
love
had you
this.
watch this. We must have both watched. We watched the theatrical release.
Mm-hmm.
It
The one
is
that's on Amazon,
poo poo
right?
boo boo caca. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It was my first time watching it. I've only because I used to own the DVD. I'd only ever watched the unrated director's cut. This version was trash monster. I hated it. I hated it. The ending sucked. It didn't end with my favorite song that I always sing. It cut out my favorite line where he screams over Annie. I did not like this. I felt like it was missing so much. Do not watch this version. Only watch the director's cut. I'm going to make you watch the ending after this.
Oh, whoa.
Or we'll pause in between when we take our break. I'll make you watch it.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
Poo poo.
we'll start that.
Poo poo caca boo boo. I hated it. I hated it. It makes me so angry. There were multiple points that I showed Trav the
Yeah.
scenes that I'm like, this is not right. This is not right. He just, and we'll get into
To why?
Rob feels the same way.
Oh, wow.
about a lot of
Oh,
this. So
no.
I'm
Was
just
this-
prefacing.
Was this the fucking Weinsteins?
It's the fucking Weinsteins.
Yeah, that
yeah.
tracks. It's always the fucking Weinsteins, man.
Fucking hate them.
Yeah.
Everybody hates them.
Yeah, as we should.
As we
For so
should for
many
like so many
reasons.
good
So
reasons.
many reasons.
But I'm just telling everyone, do not
Yeah.
watch the theatrical
Cool.
release. It's shit.
Wow. That's because I had like
It ends
zero
on like a
context.
that's how it ends, and I
Yeah.
hate it.
I did have a bit of that's how it ends, but also like I have zero context for this
Yeah.
experience. So like
Yeah. Question for you too. I want to lead with before I get description and all this stuff. What's your relationship with like the Halloween franchise?
I was worried you'd ask me that.
I would okay. See,
yeah.
I'm actually like realizing this is probably me stepping like into deep water, and I don't know if I know how to swim.
Yeah, I can tell that this is a world that you need to know a lot about that I do not know
Okay.
anything.
Have you
about.
seen any
I've
of the other
seen
Halloween?
No Halloween movies. I've not
Okay.
seen the original. I've not seen
Oh.
any of the sequels. I've not seen Rob Zombie's Halloween.
You
I've
haven't seen any
nothing.
Rob Zombie films
I've
either.
not seen any Rob
Oh,
Zombie films.
Oh no, I really
I've
set you
seen
up for
nothing.
No, now I feel
and
really
it was,
bad.
no, because I will say I was gonna mention as we came in that this was the first and only time that before I watched one of Al's films, Al sent me a message and was like, "Hey, you might
Yeah.
want to at least read a little bit about the first Rob Zombie's Halloween
Mhm.
before you go into
Just
this
a little
one."
context. I realized I was
To
like,
get
oh,
a little bit of context, which I thought was funny and was like, haha, Al's being so silly.
yeah. We're right because I wouldn't be like picking a second movie to be like you wouldn't understand what's going on.
Right. I was like, I'm sure that it will like I'll be able to jump in.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you try and jump in first?
I technically didn't. What I did was I read the plot summary on IMDb.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
not the like full one, just the like
Little tiny
the little
one
tiny
sentence.
blurb. Yeah. I read the little tiny blurb for
Yeah.
Rob Zombie's Halloween one, and I was like, I'm ready.
Yeah,
I
and
know
then
that
the movie pops off.
I know that it's a slasher movie. I know that it's teenagers. I
Yeah.
know that it's Michael Myers. I know that.
And culturally, like pop culture, you know,
Mhm.
because I've only seen a couple Halloweens and then just these Rob Zombie ones. So no one at us,
Oh.
because I will get into later why I haven't seen some other stuff. Because it just, I don't know. I feel like it wasn't my time to watch Halloween yet.
Same. I was like, the right time.
Yeah,
and I've
and I'll
talked about
binge
this
them.
before. The right time will come to me, you know? And it was like, it hadn't come to me before this.
Yeah.
And so this just happened to be the point at which I jumped
the Rob
in.
Zombie
Was Rob Zombie's Halloween too.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, God.
And
so
I think that Al did their very best to give me fair warning to be like, do some research on this one. I wouldn't say this otherwise. And I think that I did not take that seriously.
Yeah. You're like, no, it's fine. No, it's. I don't know. I feel like everyone, pop culturally what goes on. I think by that, and also I think it's fun too with movies like this, where I think this was obviously for me an introduction to the Halloween franchise. Everyone has a starting point with a franchise. You know what I mean? And like, this was mine, and sorry, this is now yours.
I was gonna ask, was this the first one you saw as well?
Yeah, I didn't see the original before I saw this one.
Okay,
I was very late to the Halloween game, and I love Michael Myers. So I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me, because I love Michael Myers.
Yeah,
I think he's such a fascinating, cool character.
And like, there's so much.
Jamie Lee Curtis. You know what I mean? Like, I should.
Yeah, same.
Maybe,
I'm like, this should be up my alley.
Maybe after this, because I really feel in the
Yeah.
feeling the Halloween spirit this year, like extra. So, anyways, good to know. We're both on the same thing. So, if anyone listening, I'm gonna say I'm actually gonna apologize. You probably would know way more, but one day we'll get there. So maybe the new season.
Yeah, come along with us on the journey as we get to know Michael Myers.
But until then, it's 2009's Rob Zombie Halloween 2 we're talking about.
Buckle up, baby.
So, the tagline, I'm not going to read the description because everyone fucking knows. It's all the same, like, characters.
And tagline for mine as well.
Oh. So tagline, family is forever. I love that. You hate it? I love it. Okay, it's good. It's simple. It gets to the point.
Yeah.
So obviously written and directed by Rob Zombie. House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, which is one of my favorites of all time, 3 from Hell, and then more recently, which I've not seen, The Munsters. Which he's just he's just such a huge fan of all of the things. So but I'm afraid to watch it still. So
like, good afraid or bad afraid?
A little bad afraid. I think I grew up on the Munsters and stuff.
Fair.
So I think it's just, again, the time will come where I'll just accept it for what it is versus trying to compare.
It's that's
and that's the thing. I just have to accept it for what it is. So,
but it's also like when you make a remake of something, you're
it's
setting
so
yourself
beloved.
up for a comparison. Yeah, that's the nature.
He's
of the
just such a
game.
fanboy, though. That I'm sure he tried his darndest.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, I just wrote for kind of you and anyone who's not that familiar with Rob Zombie's works. Rob Zombie got into making movies by directing his own music videos with White Zombie in the 90s. And one of his videos, he kind of like really established the signature like Rob Zombie auteur aesthetic.
Aww.
So it's like the really oversaturated colors, the horror imagery, a lot of the gore. Obviously, he uses like the same cast and everything when he can. So he really kind of created this back then, and kind of then fell in love with the movie making process.
Oh,
so
I love that.
Yeah, and
it feels like a music video. The whole film to me.
We were joking too. It's like he loves to do his like 90s slow-mo moments too, where it's just like, I love it, like a freeze frame, even at I don't think, if it wasn't the director's cut, you didn't see at the end, at the ending when I show you, there's like freeze frames of like falling down dead, and it's so good. But it's just like this really, and again, as we get into it, it still comes out at the end so Rob Zombie, but like I can see where I think I can see where the studio interference happened. So I found a really great quote from him from Collider, a Collider interview, and the interviewer asked, which I loved, why horror movies?
Great
And so he
question.
was on a press tour for this movie, and his response was, quote, "That's funny. That's the same question that they asked me in the other room," because he was on a tour. And I really don't have a good answer for it. For me, it's just movies, period. Not just horror movies. I like dark, violent material. And so I kind of love that because, again, it's just, you said the dark seed earlier, and it wasn't the horror seed. It's just like the inherent love of being in a bad mental space.
Oh,
I love how dark and cozy it is in here. So, I love that quote. So we have producer Malek Akkad, who worked on a ton of the other Halloween films in the franchise, and who I think in this process Rob seemed to really like, I think, and it was the one person I don't think he
was
talked
mad
badly
at?
about. Yeah.
Got it.
Budget.
There's a lot of that in mind too.
Yeah.
I think anytime you have a horror movie that's made on a low budget that gets unexpectedly really good box office returns, people get mad.
Yeah.
People get mad about where that money goes and where that money doesn't go.
Oh,
in particular.
Well, with Weinstein's, who fuck?
Yeah,
Well, we kind of know.
We know where that money went.
Yeah, speaking of money,
the money
take
went.
a stab at this budget. So I would say, this is definitely one of his more studio films comparatively to his other ones.
Okay, more studio film, but it's still Dementia, which kept budgets lower than regular Weinstein productions.
I'm curious. I was actually surprised by the amount.
Guess 10 to 15.
15.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, numbers aren't real. It's not that impressive.
Really. Yeah, 15 million, and then it grossed 39.4 million at the box office, which they considered shitty, just so you know.
Interesting.
In contrast, though, to give people,
I bet you that the Weinsteins probably part of the reason that they got some of the success that they did when they did was that they poured a lot of money compared to a film's budget into advertising, and so they probably had more back-end costs.
Oh, that makes sense. So I was just going to give context to Rob's other films and the predecessor, which was the first, what means before? Predecessor to this film too. So in contrast, Rob was used to working with 7 million on House of a Thousand and Devil's Rejects.
Makes sense.
Those made 16 and then 19 million. And then in 2007, when the first Halloween he did came out, he had a budget of 15 as well, and made 80 million. So I think they were a little bummed that this one kind of didn't do as well. So starring the cast, it's actually the first Rob Zombie movie that doesn't feature some of his regular cast, like Sid Haig, R.I.P., Bill Moseley, and Tom Towles. I think that's how you name it. Towles. I don't know.
Towles.
We're just gonna get
Moving on.
So there's some missing cast members in this. We have Scout Taylor Compton as Lori, our final girl. I love this actor. The way she can cry.
She's a great crier.
Oh my
God. Which is
very
important for this part.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Lots of
she
crying.
fucking puts her pussy into this cry the whole time.
Oh
Did
my
I ruin?
God.
Should I have not said that? That's an outside Al term. Her whole screamo-sy. Her whole screamo-sy. Her whole cryo-sy. Sorry.
I love
I shouldn't be doing that to us today. We gotta get through this, man.
It's just a head shake coming from Travis in the corner.
They hate it. It's fine.
Oh, good. Say it more. Make them hate it more.
I'll say it. I'll sprinkle it throughout. So, the decision to give Lori the name Angel as her real name in the film, spoiler, was meant to emphasize her as the extreme opposite of Michael. And so Laurie Strode's birth name in the original films was Cynthia Myers. So they did make, I was going to say too, anyone who has seen the original, this, obviously it's very Rob Zombie take on stuff. He added the mother, obviously I think he just wanted to put Sherry Moon in it. So, but yeah, I thought that was an interesting little difference. And then when Lori, just some fun little facts about Lori. Her friends arrive at the concert. The band is playing that Terror Train song, which I fucking love. It's so catchy. I want to go to that party so bad.
Oh my God.
The name of the horror movie starring Jamie Lee Curtis as the original Laurie Strode, that was it was a 1980s film, Terror Train. So that was a little
oh, that's so cute.
Which I've never heard
that
of.
kind of an Easter egg.
Yeah. And then moving on to, which I almost forgot to put him in here because Fun fact, I'll preface this before I talk about the actor, and as soon as I preface this, we'll all know the actor.
Yeah.
But the last time I watched Halloween 2, I had not gotten into my Chucky phase, my Chucky franchise phase. And so I didn't realize that was Brad Dourif as the sheriff and Annie's dad. And he's like my favorite character in this film.
Oh, I love that.
Favorite character in this film because he's just so like sweet and hammy. But I didn't make that fucking connection until last night because I only watched Chucky for the first, because again, Chucky was the movie that like ruined me as a child. I watched it at my grandparents with like no one around, not realizing. Horrified.
Oh God, yeah.
Horrified. Totally traumatized. We always talk about like people have that one traumatizing like childhood film experience, and that was mine. And so I only watched it a couple of years ago. So Brad Dourif as had no idea. Wow. So his daughter is hot, by the way. Just gonna say that too. Anyone watching the Chucky show? Oh my God. Oh, I'm gonna show you clips. Yeah. So
during
hot.
The break.
So
catch me up.
Anyways, moving on. We have Danielle Harris as Annie. She's also in Halloween 4 and 5, and I think a couple others. Cool. And you probably did not watch this show. She was in the Nickelodeon show Wild Thornberrys. She was the older sister Debbie, which blew my mind. Did not realize.
I'm sure it was on at a friend's house when I went over sometime, but that was.
I think it was post your time, pre your time. How old are you?
I don't know. I'll be the last to know.
We have Tyler Mane as Michael Myers, who we got to see at Morgan Crib. He is a tall man, and he looked so nice. Yeah. Big boy. Yeah. Head almost hitting door frames.
Yeah, which is saying something because that was a big
when he walked in, I was like, who is it? He's somebody. Yeah. Michael Myers. Yeah. That makes sense. This is actually the first Halloween movie ever to include... Oh, wait, no, I don't want to say this yet. Never mind. Never mind.
What was it the first Halloween movie to include?
We'll get to that. I have a whole section of firsts. I forgot I didn't delete that. Did I write these notes? Or did the pumpkin on the center write our notes?
Did the pumpkin write the notes? Good.
I hope you all are hanging in there.
I doubt you are.
It's Halloween weekend. Everyone's just, running around eating candy with razor blades.
If you are hanging in there, give yourself a treat.
Yeah. Or
we
a trick.
Appreciate you.
If
you are hanging in there, give us a trick.
We have Malcolm McDowell as Dr. Samuel Loomis. Perfect casting. Loved him as Alex in The Clockwork Orange.
Oh, amazing.
And then I honestly think of him in that and then this. And that's like all I think of him as.
There's something else that I'm remembering him from, but I can't.
He's in a bunch of stuff. I didn't write any of it down, but he is in stuff.
Did he
guaranteed
guest star in Community for a while? Yes.
Yeah. We got a confirmation.
Okay. Thank you, Travis. Okay. I was like trying to place it the entire time I was watching last night, and it only just clicked because I like didn't want to look it up.
Too much effort, to be fair. You're like, I was gonna come in with that. Didn't.
Great.
Well, writing Sam Loomis for the sequel. Oh my God, why am I doing that thing like where I feel like I have to deep swallow my spit today? Okay, nobody be weird. Nobody be weird.
I am, Al. Of course I'm gonna laugh at that.
We're all talking about our freaking allergies in here because I feel like all the
sure we are.
Okay. You drink your fucking coffee and shut up while I tell you this fact. So we're writing Sam Loomis for the sequel. Rob Zombie based his egotistical and self-absorbed personality on Dr. Phil. Like, isn't that great?
That's incredible.
I feel like it's like, that you're like, oh my God, that's what it fucking is.
Yeah, it reminds me so much of the story of Christian Bale saying that he based Patrick Bateman on Tom Cruise.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, where he's like, it was the like really like charming smile with like deadness behind the eyes.
Yeah. Scientology. Story for another time. They're gonna get me. We talked about this.
Yeah.
That's gonna be between two queers when that's behind a paywall. Yeah. They have to pay to hear it. He
I'm so sorry.
I don't know.
Off with so many things.
I'm just reading my notes for the first time.
Who wrote these for us?
The design of Loomis also in this film was in exact contrast to the classic Loomis look that we might see in other films, or not us, other people.
Right. People who are more caught up than us.
That's where you get that scene with him with the classic khaki coat, and he makes commentary on it because they kind of wanted to give like a little nod to that they're switching his look.
Cute.
Also, that photo, he looks like that like dog detective. that we
Oh
all saw
my
in school, the
God.
Basset Hound or whatever. Not Basset Hound, but
I know what you're.
yeah.
Yeah. Some
That's
kind
what he
of
looked
hound.
like.
That's so funny.
We have Sherry Moon Zombie as
Mhm.
Deborah Myers. We always have to have. I
Mother.
love her.
Yeah. This
I
is the
just
first
love.
thing that I've seen her in, but I can understand the love.
Yeah.
From
Also on the
this.
outside too, they're just like two vegan farmers. I know at one point they had a pug named Godzilla, which was really cute. Yeah, they're just
No.
like little sweeties.
That's so cute.
So obviously she was in a lot of its music videos back in the day, but I didn't realize how she got involved in his work. So even before that they were dating, she worked as a dancer and choreographer with his band White Zombie, and so
That's
they
so
kind of like met and
cool.
kind of just from then on just like created and filmed. Yeah, I didn't realize she was a choreographer.
You're gonna make me cry.
I know. Yeah, they
Al.
just seem like
That's
the
super
sweetest,
cute.
and I love like a we've talked about this.
Yeah.
I love like a power couple,
An
that
artistic couple.
yeah,
Oh,
truly. We have Octavia Spencer as Nurse Daniels. I love her.
so
God damn
good.
it.
Yeah.
I love when she just pops up and shit.
Right?
She's got the best, sweetest face I've ever seen in my life.
And like another one of those actors who like had so many of these
Tiny little sprinkles.
Yeah, tiny little sprinkles.
Like who was
before.
it in
Was it Viola Davis?
Yeah.
I think it was.
I forget what movie it was, but yeah.
Oh my God, that was way
Yeah,
back in the
Octavia
beginning.
fucking Spencer.
Ugh.
Great. We have Angela Trimber as Harley, which she's like the crazy friend. I had to give her a shout because
We love a crazy friend.
Oh my God. I've seen her comedy set in LA.
Oh, amazing. She
That
seems
is
like
just
she'd
her.
be so funny.
That is just her character. That is her. She also, I'm going to put this out here, and I found the site. Do you remember Zooey Deschanel's Hello Giggles website and YouTube?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. It's still up on YouTube, but just nothing new, obviously, for like 5 years, I think. But Angela had the Dance Like No One's Watching. She had like a viral video with the headphones and like the
Oh my God.
laundromat. That was her. And I wonder if anyone remembers this other than me. I feel like that's showing just how chronically online I've been my entire life. So anyways, if you know, you know. Shout out. Other casting notes I have is, I hope I say his name right. We have Dag Fark. It's DAEG FAERCH.
Cool.
So,
just gonna
not gonna try.
Yeah.
He played young Michael Myers in the first Halloween one and reprised his role in Halloween 2, but was later replaced because they realized that he had noticeably grown up and they wanted to have this character be the same for these flashbacks. So he got kicked out after he recorded some of his scenes, and I feel really bad because I really like that actor in the first one. This one's so cute too, and they're like equally adorable. But that's gotta suck.
Yeah.
To be really excited to be recast, and you're just like, I'm sure it was like that like 8 to 14 or something.
That's
I don't know ages.
That's a big age gap, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And kids grow up so
but shout out.
Yeah.
We also know that Weird Al makes his little cameo.
Iconic. I had to like pause and go back and be
Yeah,
like,
do I know
is that
guy?
actually Weird Al?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so his only condition to appear in the film was
God.
that he got to pick his own clothes.
I love
And
that.
I'm like, he just showed up in his own clothes.
Yeah,
He didn't pick them. He picked
No.
them out of his closet and
Yeah.
showed up on set.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm just going to be here,
I mean,
okay?
he's just
Okay,
playing
cool.
Weird Al.
Yeah.
So like, and I don't remember his clothes being
No, just a
it's
brown.
just like a black shirt or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Like a little Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Makes
So.
sense. Yeah.
Love
He just
that.
wanted to be comfy.
He's like, Rob, you're not dressing me the way you want to. It's not happening.
Only I dress me.
He does have like an image to uphold. You know what I mean? Not a
It's
great
a
one,
reputation
but he's
to
got
maintain.
one. I always say, I always call myself the original Weird Al because I always change lyrics to songs.
The weirdest Al.
The weirdest Al. Yeah, I'm the
Yeah.
weirdest Al. He stole my name. On the contrary, though, John Carpenter was offered a cameo and he turned it
Oh
down.
no.
I feel like that's gotta
so
hurt your
sad.
feelings.
Yeah. Do
You
you know
know?
why?
No.
That's sad.
I feel like he was just like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I mean, he also would have been like what in his late 60s, early 70s by this point. Like it's
Yeah.
maybe he's
I feel like he was just like
tired.
good.
Yeah.
He's like, I
Yeah.
don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I said script question mark question mark.
Exclamation.
So I don't have like a ton of like material of like the making because this is obviously like a franchise that like exists.
Right. Script. There was one.
There was one. Yeah, so I know like there were some interviews talking about, again, you know, this was kind of like another them trying to give life to this franchise again. So they really wanted to go with like a different director, a different direction that these films have gone in. So I think like them choosing Rob Zombie to write and direct was a really smart move. Like if you wanted something different, get a really stylized horror director. Like even if you would have gotten like, you know, Rodriguez or Juan or like somebody, it still would have felt close to these slasheries. And I feel like going really, really different is going with someone like Rob Zombie.
Yeah, you need something that's going to
stand out a little bit.
Exactly, stand on its own.
I do have a quote though for Rob Zombie. Again, this Collider article, which we'll link, has like all the good quotes. I really like this interview. He just asks the most random, vague questions to Rob, which I feel is kind of nice because why horror? Like he was just asking shit like that. So, so
terrible interview technique.
It was not great. But I think Rob was talking again, press tour for Halloween 2, and so he was kind of talking about writing for this franchise. So he said, Halloween felt like a weird sidestep that I think because it was someone else's material, it kind of messed with me. I made the first half of the movie my thing, and the second half I felt I should bring more John Carpenter beats because that's what people are going to expect. But as soon as I started doing that, I don't think I had quite the same enthusiasm for the film that I did when it was new stuff. That's why with this movie, I tried to flip all of them, the characters, upside down and make them my characters. So I think that gives a little insight of probably he felt this pressure to, you know, write for this franchise, give the audience what they want, which I really appreciate. He was thinking about what people would want, but he's like, wait, that's not me.
Right. And it's important to be able to both recognize what the audience expectations are and say that's not the be-all, end-all of what this project is.
Yeah, so I appreciate he says that. Again, if anyone knows Rob Zombie, he's very transparent and open about all of his feelings on stuff. He doesn't feel like he needs to hide those, and I love it. He gives no fucks. He gave 112 fucks in the movie, but none fucks in real life. Yeah, he ran out of all of his fucks to give in real life.
Put them all on screen, baby.
Truly, put all your fucks on screen.
Motto.
Great. So production, they shot Halloween 2 primarily in Georgia. I don't have a time span. But it seems all over the place. So I don't. But primarily, question mark for sure. In Georgia, but the exterior of the hospital parking lot scene that we see in the beginning was shot in San Fernando Valley, and it was actually shot. It shows like the entrance to an emergency room hospital, which was the spinal cord injury clinic. It doesn't exist anymore, but I just thought that was like really cool. And I wonder how they shut that down for that. Like, do people need to get in there? Do people? Sorry,
not today. They don't.
Not today. So they did shoot, and then I know they shot in Georgia because they gave a lot of the landscape that they wanted for stuff. A lot of rural, a lot of rundown buildings, a lot of fields, stuff like that.
Georgia also has great tax credits.
That too. Yep. Yeah. That's why there's so many productions in there. We're going to get nerdy for you. I feel like you'd appreciate this. So Rob Zombie shot this at a 1:85:1 ratio, which is like the standard, I feel like, or a little... The other standard is the 239:1, which is like that more like cinematic wider. So he shot this in 1:85:1 and on 16 millimeter film. In the first, he loves
2009. That's like right on that cusp of the transition from film to digital, huh? Yeah.
He also loves film. He's a nerd. He's a big nerd. Wow. In the first Halloween Rob Zombie did in 2007, he had to shoot in the 239:1 aspect ratio, and he was not happy about it. I think it's too cinematic for him.
That's so
he was just not used to filming in that, and I think they forced him to, the Weinsteins.
Well, and I will say, this may have nothing to do with why he felt this way, but just like from like a film nerd perspective, when you have like a smaller aspect ratio, it's easier to do faster cuts because your eye isn't covering as much territory from shot to shot.
And he loves a fast cut.
So, which is also part of why with a music video, it's more uncommon to see a music video that's shot like that. And if you do, it's probably going to have longer shots because like it's more ground for your eye to cover.
Damn, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That makes so much. Yeah. No, I don't know. Thanks for adding on to that.
Hey. I have no idea if that's why he was thinking of it, but it's just like a possible
I'm sure that was it. I feel like his brain.
We're gonna go with yes.
Yeah, we're gonna go with yes. We've decided, Rob. So this is actually the fourth Halloween film to be shot on the 1:85:1 ratio.
Interesting.
After Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers in 88, Halloween 5, Revenge of Michael Myers 89, Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers 95. And then I kind of, again, going on my nerd tidbit, Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses and Halloween were shot on 35 millimeter. And then coincidentally, the sequels, Devil Reject and Halloween 2, were shot in 16 millimeter. So I kind of like that he started 35 and then went to 16 for his 2.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool.
Cute.
So like I said, this was shot in Georgia, and because of that, in contrast to being shot in California, which is where the first one was shot, Rob Zombie and the crew had a really tough time working and shooting around the gloomy and humid weather.
Oh,
which I said, if you
interesting.
know anything about the South, is like super unpredictable and
Yeah.
predictable at the same time, but like not
humid for
great.
sure.
Yeah.
Not
So
gonna be. That's one of the things that the Southwest has going for us is you've got more regular sunlight, generally speaking.
Oh, it is very sunny here.
Yeah,
It is something
very
I
sunny.
looked up before we moved here.
Yeah,
It's the sunny days. Because going from California to anywhere with weather,
yeah.
I needed my vitamin D.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we got that, baby.
So the script actually had to constantly be altered to accommodate the sudden rainstorms they would get.
Oh no.
And you'll actually, and they even had to force some shoots indoors because of that.
Man, they should have traded sets with Nightmare on Elm Street because they kept trying to create more fog outdoors and it kept getting like blown away in the sunny California weather. And so
California's like, nah,
nuh-uh,
not
baby.
here.
Yeah.
Don't portray me this way.
That's not what I.
Oh my God, they really should have.
Yeah, they should have.
They should have switched.
Yeah.
But I thought it was weird. They said they forced shoots indoors, and I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, did they build sets? Did they change interiors? So,
Yeah.
for example, the hospital scene where we see Lori make it out to the rain-soaked parking lot, that actually was not scripted, and that is not fake rain. That is an actual storm that they just
That's
went, well,
so funny. Well,
there's
a storm.
we gotta shoot. So I think they moved things inside where they could, and then just said, fuck it to the rest. Because you gotta get what you gotta get.
do. Yeah.
But that wasn't the only trouble on set.
Great.
Pretty much the rest of my notes are talking about all the trouble. on
Amazing. We love.
set. Oh, poor Rob. So I said this was news to me because I feel like I never really researched this movie prior, so I didn't know a lot of this feeling around this. But Rob Zombie was very open about the production of Halloween 2 and how much he just hated it. He basically disowns this film completely because he just was not happy. So I will read you all the reasons why.
Theatrical cut or director's cut as well?
Both. I think he got what he could out of director's cut.
Fair.
But we'll get into all the reasons why he did not like this, which makes me sad. But it makes me sad. But also my little rant earlier about director's cut. I feel like that gives you a taste of what his vision was, and I think they should have just let him do what the fuck he wanted. So, again,
that's what artists
you're hired to do.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a concept! So again, prefacing the Weinstein brothers, they were basically the reason why he fucking hates this film, and I think these two films.
I'm going to use this as an opportunity to say, because we've gotten like comments on our TikTok from people being like, why does Siena hate Tarantino? I will just say on air, one of the reasons I hate Tarantino is that he and the Weinsteins always got along together real well. And that is a bad sign.
Honestly,
for a
clip
human
this
being.
out, throw it on TikTok.
Yeah.
That's the main reason. That should be your only reason.
Yeah. Like,
and
that
also,
not
if you
saying enough?
separate art from artist,
Yeah.
he does make great stuff.
yeah.
But also,
Yeah.
that's why you don't have to like the person
Exactly.
necessarily.
Well, and it's also like almost everybody that you hear talking about their experience working with the Weinsteins has stories like what I'm sure you're about to give about them taking over creative control, being assholes, making people feel uncomfortable on set, making everything awful, cutting the budget when they're not expected to. And the only person that I've
We should
heard
have
say
traded notes.
only good things about working with the Weinsteins is Tarantino.
Wow. He's
And the
yeah,
fact
yikes.
that every interview that he's like ever given on them that I've seen at least, maybe he's given more since everything came out. But like there are so many interviews of him talking about how they're just best buddies, how he's never had trouble getting creative control from them, how they treat him so well. And I'm like, yeah,
Flag
I don't
on the
trust
flag,
that.
flag on the
Red
play, flag on the play.
fucking Yeah. So
that's a sports terms, guy. That's sports.
That's sports, baby.
No. You basically, so Cliff's Notes, that's, if you want to skip over this.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
No, but that's everything that Rob encountered, and
Yeah.
he has had no problem being like,
I love
fuck
that.
them,
Yeah.
fuck them, fuck them. So
And this is why we love Rob
yay,
Zombie.
We
Yeah.
love Rob Zombie because of this. So it was a perfect tee up for this.
Oh,
So
good.
Rob's a good one. We love him. So not only did he often clash with the Weinstein brothers on multiple things, but the main point of contention was when 2 weeks of shooting were completely cut from his shooting schedule
Yeah,
on
that
the
sounds like
very
nonsense.
first day of filming. So got to set, sorry, we're gotta cut 2 weeks.
I would murder.
Truly.
I would murder.
So you gotta think he walked, not only did he have to probably all the pre-production issues he had to deal with,
God.
but then imagine walking on your first day of set and hearing that information. So apparently it made him take out multiple pages from the script that he would have not been able to film because of this loss of time.
Right.
And because this film was originally scheduled to be released on Halloween of 2009, they moved it up, and so they pushed the schedule, and they wanted it released in August. So that's why that date, which I think impacted how well this did too. The quality and how well this did because of the release. Like a Halloween movie being released in August, you're not
makes no
ready.
sense.
Even end of
Yeah.
August, you're just not.
It's not
well,
the
I'm ready.
time. Yeah.
But like the
we're
masses. This is a very
exception to the rule.
yeah. So not only did he have to then do all that, but then you got to think post now. It's like, oh shit, we not only had to finish this, but like this is moved up 2 fucking months.
And that just to me feels like another one of those things where it's like there is no way in which that was like a smart business choice. And there's no way that I think anybody on the Weinstein team could have sat down and been like, yeah, let's move the Halloween sequel up from Halloween to late August and expect it to do better.
Oh,
that
totally.
feels like something that they do to fuck
Fuck
with
with
and
him.
punish
I feel like that's what
Yeah.
they were doing. And Rob also said in a quote, that's the problem with making a movie called Halloween. If you come out November 1st or after, nobody cares. If it was called anything else, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, he's like, really? Like
They fucked him over. Yeah.
So that wasn't the only thing, like with the scheduling issue on set. Georgia ATF Department, which is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, shut down the production of the film at one point after a false claim was made that the shoot was an unsafe workplace environment. So that also cut into their schedule.
What?
I don't know.
Oh.
Part of me is like, it's probably the fucking Weinsteins calling up, like, oh, I'm so I think it's really unsafe. Because you've heard of Rob Zombie before. He's so dangerous.
Bob Weinstein is just like crouching in the bushes, like cackling to himself, like Gollum.
Through.
Yeah.
I think it's, I don't know their voices. I can't think of a voice. You have to do Paul. What's the other one? I don't even know. I don't want to know their names. They're good. I don't want to know their names.
Call him Paul Weinstein.
Wait, is that what you said? I heard Paul.
Bob.
Oh.
It's fine.
Well, now he's Paul Weinstein because fuck them. I don't want to know their names. I just said fucking Paul and Bob.
The hidden Weinstein brother exposed.
He was the one. There was a third Weinstein brother, and he was the one calling sets, making claims.
That was his only job.
They kept him hidden.
This has gone
They kept
so
him chained in
off
a
the
basement. They
rails.
kept him chained in a basement. Conspiracy theory
Just
with legs.
legs and chains, baby.
Legs and chains. Anyways, oh my God.
I'm crying.
Lord help me get through this. And it doesn't stop there, is what I wrote. Rob
no.
Zombie.
When will it stop?
He had to have a few days worth of footage shipped off for developing for the start of production. And the film canisters were accidentally put through the X-rayed airport security, which completely wiped.
Yeah. The number of
So they
films
do
that I've heard
reshoots.
this happening on, too, which is
Wild.
like the fact that for so long there was like really no other way to ship films across the country, and this kept happening. And if that's your only copy of the negative, that's just
that's it.
You're fucked.
So they had to do reshoots.
Great.
So so poor buddy. I'm sure he fucking, and he does not seem like someone who likes to work in a system like this too. So I'm sure he was just
he must have been losing
so
it.
fucking miserable. Actor Danielle Harris, who played Annie, also said in an interview that she, quote, wrapped filming 3 times as a joke because she was called back to film new scenes, and said the last time that she was called back, when she arrived on set, the crew was so confused at her arrival and that she was actually not supposed to shoot anything. So again, I think there was just like so much.
Oh no, poor thing.
I know. I'm like, this whole set sounds like
God.
miserable. And I honestly think the end result's actually pretty good. So like,
All
good on
things
everyone for trying
considered.
couldn't make it
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
So in addition to all the studio interference that compromised production and everything else that
Yeah.
happened, Rob Zombie also strongly suspected that the crew members were actually stealing money from the film's budget.
Oh no.
So I don't know if there's any.
How?
I don't know. I think he was just didn't trust anyone at this
fair.
point, and maybe if anyone
yeah.
was hired by the Weinsteins, he was like, ugh.
True. He needed somebody to come like slip some celery under his pillow.
Yeah, he needed to
calm
be
him
sniffing
down.
celery.
Yeah, truly.
Rob, we're coming for you. We got celery. He probably grows celery.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. Organic celery in his backyard. He's just got a whole patch you can go
Yeah,
take a nap in when he's
he just
stressed.
lays in the middle of his celery field. After this, man. So because of such this miserable experience of working with the Weinsteins on both of these films, like I said, he outright disowned them, and especially Halloween 2, which it sounds like the worst time. I don't even want to know what the first one was like. He said the first Halloween was, quote, a miserable experience for me, and so I was very reluctant to do the second one.
Yeah, I imagine.
I did do the second one, and I thought, okay, well, the first one was so miserable of an experience.
It can't possibly be worse.
but it did well, so maybe it'll be easier the second time.
Oh,
it was worse.
Yeah, of course it was.
Oh my God, he said. I felt like they weren't trusting me on the first one because they wanted to make sure it was a hit, and now they weren't trusting me not to fuck up their hit. Which I think is such like a, that's
Very
exactly
Weinstein.
what was happening.
Yeah.
He goes on to say, they would show me scenes from Halloween 2007 and try to make a point, and I'd be like, yeah, I know. I made the movie.
It.
Why do you need to show me like I've
Oh
never
my
seen it
God,
before?
That's, again, I would murder.
I don't know.
I would murder.
I know. Again, Rob Zombie's, he's just so like, again, a auteur about his stuff, and just like he has his own thing going that I'm like, if you hire him, you let him run, and you do not fucking ask him a question.
You hire Rob Zombie to do
you make
the
sure
Rob
he's on
Zombie
budget,
thing.
maybe,
Yeah,
and that's like the
that's
only
it.
thing you need to fucking worry about. Like, where do you need support?
Exactly.
So oh yeah, so it's funny because he did Halloween 2, but again, he didn't like working on the first set. And so in the first movie, he actually kills off, Michael with point blank range, basically. So it's like he really has no reason to come back. I also think it's just that character can like, that's Michael Myers. But he was like, yeah, no, like I basically gave it an ending where this could not go on anymore. But then, like, here we are fucking again, and they decided to make a sequel.
If a movie's successful enough, they'll bring it back no matter what.
Truly. So he thought he could put an end to it. He thought he could kill, Rob Zombie thought he could kill Michael Myers for the ever.
Instead, Michael Myers killed Rob Zombie.
His spirit, for sure. But so the studio obviously decided to make a sequel because it did so well.
Right.
But they wanted to hire 2 French directors, Alexandre Bustillo and Julien Maury, based on their horror movie from 2007 called Inside. So they really like the work.
I really want to see that.
Oh, I know. I feel like I heard of it in my zeitgeist.
I haven't seen it. But...
2 French directors. So they both did it.
Interesting.
Which I think is really interesting.
So hard.
It seems like it would be. You really have to understand someone creatively.
Yeah.
So both of these directors were fans of Rob Zombie's work and said that they were honored to like extend his vision, which I appreciate, and said that they wanted to follow the structure though of the original Halloween 2 from 1981, but kind of keeping some of the lore from Rob Zombie's film. So they had like a good vision. I think they would have probably done a wonderful job. But our boy Rob Zombie eventually brainstormed some ideas for the sequel. I think he was like, if anyone's going to do this, I think I want it back.
Yeah.
So he signed on to write and direct Halloween 2 because, like I said, didn't want someone to ruin his vision. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's my feeling.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So poor Bustillo and Maury were fired.
Oh no.
No, so they weren't even just, they were contracted, fired.
Fuck.
But some of their concepts still remains, like Michael Myers, like that insanity wearing onto other people kind of thing was kept. So, and then where do we have? Oh, fucking wine. I feel like this whole thing is a rant about the Weinstein brothers.
Yeah.
So
I'm so sorry. I really.
When talking about his work being compromised, Rob Zombie gave a quote about that. He says, "The Devil's Rejects, I feel like everything has been compromised in some way by scheduling because it was the only movie I ever worked on that had no release date. We worked on it until we got got it right, or at least we thought we got it right. I looked at it and said, there's nothing left that I want to change. There's nothing left that I want to do. Whereas I never had the luxury since. So he's never had that luxury since Devil's Rejects. He goes on to talk about Halloween 2 and says, I'm not sure where I would do anything different, but editing is crucial time. And when you get rushed through that process, like I said earlier with the date getting pushed up, you are never sure that you got exactly perfect, the exact perfect take of every actor, the perfect moment, because there's so much footage to go through. So again, I imagine just he just seems someone like we talked about, even Shyamalan or other directors, like they thrive on lower budget. Tim Burton, I'm like, take the money away from him, man.
Yeah, give him less.
Rob Zombie can admit that though. I feel like he knows he's not good in this sphere and can admit that.
And it doesn't seem like it was his desire to even like it doesn't.
I don't think he even wanted to take this project.
Yeah,
he was like, I just want it back because I don't want anyone else to fuck up my
else to
two.
take it.
Yeah. So speaking of Michael Myers, we get to see some first. Here's the first of Michael Myers. So Michael Myers kills the driver of the car that Laurie flags down and flips the car over with Laurie inside. I think this is the director's cut version. So we see Rob Zombie driving for the first time. We see Michael Myers driving for the first time. Easy to get them confused.
True. So much in common.
But he also thought the idea of Michael Myers driving was just like silly and far-fetched. So I think he took that out. I don't know if they filmed it. I can't remember if it's in the deleted director's cut or not. But he kind of justifies this by saying that he would watch Dr. Loomis drive, and so that's how he like learned how to drive. I don't know. We also have Michael Myers. You didn't see this. Michael Myers. You didn't see either of these next things. Michael Myers talks. He says the word dies or die at the end. I'll show you. It's the better ending, everybody. Okay. Nobody watched the theatrical release. So the first time he takes Laurie into the abandoned shed, which you do see, they like do have this moment and like he says the word, and then he also gets his mask kind of taken off. So you see a lot of his face in this one too, which in other films you don't see his face, but I think, I don't know, it feels very Rob Zombie to like have a little bit of him to like show the humanity of him, and like he's not just a man behind a mask, but he's like a fucked up person. Well,
and it's both our movies talking about monster movies, and his quote about Nightmare on Elm Street. They're both movies where it's like the face is as important as the mask. You know, that's something that when we get to Nightmare is like a very big part of Krueger's creature design too. But,
love Krueger. Krueger's so silly.
Silly boy.
Silly boy. So again, talking about the director's cut, which I think is more close to Rob's vision. He really kind of showcases Laurie's mental state a lot more. So there's, again, if you haven't seen it, so the ending of this one, spoiler, all three of them die. So at the end it's Loomis, Laurie, and Michael Myers die in it. And then, but you still get that scene where she's in like a white room kind of thing. But you see her break down a lot more throughout this film in his. So like she has way more, her anger issues are bigger. She has, I think you see a little bit more of her relationship with alcohol in this one. And so it all makes sense a little bit more towards the end that like, she sees these same visions as Michael, and I just feel like you don't get that, and that's where it falls flat for me. It's that like it just ends and you're like, oh, like what was all of this for? It feels like, but you see more of her breakdown in it. So in the director's cut they show a lot more of that. The body count's pretty much the same. I think they kill like one more person. And I have a quote from him. Oh yeah, her PTSD. So
same.
It's really
big same.
So he says, quote, she's an incredible mess and gets worse.
Big same. Like big
shit.
Same.
This is not a quote about Siena.
Are we sure?
I'm quoting myself about you. This is my take. She's an incredible mess and gets worse. She never has any good moments. She's just messed up. She's lashing out at everyone. She's horrible. Messed up on drugs. She's completely spun out the whole movie. It makes for a real challenging movie to watch, and I feel like I don't know if fans would have embraced the darkness. And I love that.
It's me!
We embrace the darkness.
Yeah, we embrace the darkness.
I think that's his point too. If he was making this film, wanted to be successful, I'm sure he felt pressure. He didn't think this would land well with audiences. I do think it would have.
Absolutely.
He's so like,
Who do you
you
think
know
your
you're going
audience
into
is,
a Rob
sir?
Zombie film.
Yeah,
It's not just a
absolutely.
Halloween franchise film. So, anyways, it makes me a little upset. So, there's some fan theories about the endings and stuff too. Again, if you watch the unrated, this all makes a little bit more sense, but they kind of talk about how she developed, again, a theory, developed dissociative identity disorder, so DID, which I don't know if I know enough about to talk about in that way, because I don't know if that's particularly how DID works.
And it's also,
Because
I know it's one of those that, like, there's so much media that uses DID
I used
in,
to
like,
watch
an
some
inaccurate
YouTubers
way.
that talked, like they had DID and they talked about
Oh,
it, and I found it because I
interesting.
was like, I just got to know more about this
Yeah.
because I feel like I only knew the media side of it. But that's like a fan theory, and that she
Interesting.
actually did the killings, and Michael was
I could
dead
see
from
that. I
the.
could
So
see that.
yeah.
It definitely
So there's
it
some,
felt like that was like a potential implication. Yeah.
which is especially at the end
Mhm.
when he walks into the shed and she's
Yeah,
screaming,
yeah.
and he's like, "There's
Yeah.
literally nobody there."
Right.
But I just think that's just her losing her mind. I don't know if that's necessarily DID. And then Rob Zombie also in an interview talks about, just to wrap this up, like how he isn't a fan of endless sequels. So I think these big, I mean, Scream would probably be really good. I love Scream though, but I kind of get where he's coming from, because he says, I feel like there's never a definitive ending anymore. Every movie ends with the possibility of another one, and it drives me crazy, which, yeah, I get that.
Get it. Yeah.
So again, in the first one, he thought he killed everyone. In the second one, he's like, I'm gonna kill. In the director's cut, kill everyone. Studio was like, absolutely not. You have to keep Laurie alive. Like, we need to have this possibility. Because good old Dementia Films wanted to do a third
course they did.
Halloween.
Of course they did.
And so they kept her alive because of that. But I don't know if I have these but because they failed to produce any sort of like script or actually film anything in this time or hire people,
Great.
they lost the rights to Universal Pictures and Blumhouse.
Good.
But that's how we got 2018's Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis back in it. So it's because of fuck up of the Weinsteins, we
Thank
actually
God.
got it to move on. And I think those
yeah.
the two that are out, like, did really well
I've
in the
heard
box office.
Generally good. Like,
We're holding up numbers. What does that mean?
what
does a
what-
3 mean? Don't give me hand signals. So because they were idiots
Great.
and couldn't find it, everyone's probably like, fuck you guys.
Love it.
We got the 2018's version, and I think.
Wow.
So yeah. And I'm gonna give reviews really quick.
Yes.
So it has a 25 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Amazing.
I'm not surprised. Rob Zombie's an acquired taste, I
Yeah,
would say too.
it feels like that's part of, like, I don't know that I would disagree with those reviews, but it's also like, it's like a good bad, you know?
Can I read you this then?
Yes.
So we talked about reviews hitting things on the head. Especially with horror films, I feel like. And so earlier I kind of started off with a quote. Rob Zombie was asked like why he loves horror movies.
Right.
And he said he basically just likes the darkness. And so the interviewer then followed up that question with why. And so this was his response to that. And he goes, I don't know why. It's funny because I'm writing this thing about A Clockwork Orange for the DGA magazine. And while doing some research, I realized that Roger Ebert gave it a horrible review back in 1972. And every reason that he gave for hating it is exactly why I like it. Isn't that so good? So that's my little end. I feel like that was a good thing to end. So,
oh my God, what a
and
good,
that's,
I love that.
Yeah, so everything people hate about Rob Zombie is like everything I love about him. I love his, like, I hate to say it, like, shitty dialogue.
Yeah.
It's just like so his. You can feel it. I feel like the way he likes to shoot, the amount of gore he likes to include,
Gore was
like the character. Most of the characters you like fucking hate, and you can't wait for them to get just like brutally ripped apart. And that's what I love about him. And I love Halloween too. And it feels so like Halloweeny and spooky, and it was very fun to watch.
What would you rate it?
I'd probably rate it like all in all, because I think I'm also like getting in a different phase of horror movie, especially after like this podcast. I'd probably rate it like a 3.5.
Okay, cool.
You know?
Uh-huh.
Maybe I want to get everything a 4.
Yeah.
Like a 3.5. Maybe
3.5.
maybe a 3, because I feel like there could have been more of him, and like the theatrical release really pisses me off.
That's fair.
So maybe like a 3, just because fuck the Weinsteins, kind of.
Fair.
But yeah, so anyways, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Rob Zombie hated it. because the Weinsteins.
We liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. What would you rate it? What did you think? This was like a weird, brutal one to like interject you into. I'm so sorry.
No. And I also was like, again, going in on. I like haven't slept in weeks, you guys.
God.
Like,
so wait, the eyes are twitching.
I like won't sleep in weeks. And
Freddy Krueger's gonna get you.
Freddy Krueger's gonna get me. I too have a coffee pot hidden under my bed that I sneak out.
I
when my mom
actually
comes in.
oh my God, that is you.
I fucking lost it.
You're like, oh, I gotta do that.
Yeah.
You ran to the kitchen.
I was like, we've got to add that to my packing list when we go up to Hummingbird, Siena. What was I saying? Oh, what did I think of this?
Yeah.
What we're like here talking about. This movie. No, not my nightmare. This nightmare. So all of which is to say, I'm going to be very honest. I went in dreading this. I thought that I was going to hate it.
Yeah. I kind of anticipated you to be like, this, why the fuck did you make me watch this?
I thought particularly it being a sequel, not having seen any Rob Zombie before.
That's tough to come in not knowing Rob Zombie.
And me being in like such a like loose headspace, I was like, this is gonna be
the worst
experience of my life. I had a great time.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did it kind of wake you up a little bit?
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I did like do some dishes while I was watching it.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta think these are movies where it's just kill after kill.
Yeah.
This one does have a little bit more woven into it with the like mom and the. Also, he has the horse. He does say that could be that horse toy could have been anything.
That if
he said he needed a through line, and that was something which I really appreciate. It's like it was just like fucking.
Let's make it a horse.
Yeah. I'm sure Sherry Moon was like, "Can we bring the pony?"
Yeah, I had 2 notes from the entire watch. One was, "Did you just do a reverse sleepaway camp at the end?" And the other was, "No narrative, just a series of telephone-style tag-your-it deaths."
Yeah.
But
I mean, I feel like that's
liked
like
it.
Halloween.
Yeah. I liked it though.
Yeah, he tried. I think if he would have, there would have been a little bit more meat in there for him.
It didn't feel like he was interested in that, like, at all.
Yeah,
Which,
I think he was like, you know what, fuck it, let me just kill a bunch of people.
I think I admired it on the level of it just like completely throwing out the pretense of a narrative. It just being like, nah, it's just about the kills.
In the first one too, it seemed like he tried to again bring in the mom in this, where it's just like that was kind of like his spin on it. It's just adding more backstory to Michael. I think that's really all he attempted to do in this one. So
love it.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't hate it. I was like, oh, this could not be a Siena.
Like I'm gonna, on my personal letterbox, I'm gonna give it a low star rating, but I enjoyed it in the same way as like all cheerleaders die. You know, like yeah.
I'm glad you got to see a Rob Zombie.
Yes,
this is the most commercial Rob Zombie. I would implore you to watch.
We should
like House of a Thousand Corpses.
I think we should cover it on the podcast at some point.
You'll find his House of a Thousand you'll just appreciate the I think like the set design and the special effects of that one.
And it's got such a like 60s B movie type title.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it for that. It's full camp. Full camp.
We love.
Yeah.
On that note, shall we take a break and be right back?
Yeah, I'm gonna make Siena watch the director's cut ending.
Yeah. And we'll be right back.
You know how much you love stories of horror and gore. Meet our sponsor, Beasley Books, the independent bookstore owned by author George R.R. Martin in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Beasley specializes in autographed titles, rare editions, and speculative fiction, which includes sci-fi, fantasy, and, of course, horror. You can find many authors whose adaptations we've covered at Beasley, including Stephen King, Clive Barker, and more, alongside the likes of Nick Cutter, Shirley Jackson, and Anne Rice. Visit the Santa Fe storefront Wednesday through Sunday at 418 Montezuma, or shop online anytime. I don't know why I'm Irish now, but you can find them at BeasleyBooks.com or on Instagram at BeasleyBooks418. And make sure you use code SPLICE10 to save 10% when you shop online. SPLICE10 to save 10% when you shop online. Bye.
And we're back. We're too excited to be back. We just jumped the gun.
Yeah, we did.
So as
I was gonna say, I made you watch the director's cut.
You did make me watch the director's cut ending. Much better.
Yeah.
Much more cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of big psycho vibes with the original ending. Can see why he's so mad at the Weinsteins,
Yeah.
as
And
we
that
all
was just
should
a
be.
piece.
That was just a taste.
Just a little taste.
Just a little tidbit. Just a little titty
Anyways,
twister.
a little titty twister.
So, going from titty twisters to taglines.
Love
I only
this.
brought you in one because it's really good. And part of what I was thinking about was just Craven has such great taglines for his films. And this, like,
when did this come out
especially-
again?
This one is
Nightmare on Elm
84.
Street? 84.
84. And it's so obviously in conversation with Last House on the Left. I'm really glad that we watched Last House on the Left and discussed it before Nightmare on Elm
Okay.
Street.
Oh,
Because
cool. Okay.
that one is, that's Craven's first film. He worked with a lot of the same people on this that he worked with on that. Like Sean Cunningham, who did Friday the 13th and helped out on that, also helped out on this. There's a lot of crossover. It's also, just look at the two titles, Last House on the Left and Nightmare on Elm Street. The idea of this kind of like suburban horror happening that is all about the house and the role of the house as in relation to everything that surrounds it and to the nightmares outside and inside and the morality and the
place.
So all of which is just to say, I feel like we like teed up well for that. And also, it made me think about The Last House on the Left with its like, it just remember it's only a movie campaign, which was so genius.
My God, yeah.
Right? And I was like, yeah, Craven, he's the master at this. So the OG tagline that was on like the posters and stuff when this was released was, if Nancy doesn't wake up screaming, she won't wake up at all. Which, it's so good.
That's really good.
A+.
Yeah,
no
yeah,
notes.
No notes at all.
Which is what, there's like a page and a half of taglines for this
Really?
film. I just wrote that one down because it was
perfect.
like,
I
you
don't
got it
even
right
know
the first
anymore.
time.
Yeah.
All the rest were less interesting.
Yeah. No, that's so good.
So obviously, written and directed by Wes Craven, my boy from Last House on the Left, your Scream boy, our Hills Have Eyes boy. We need to do that at some point on the podcast. As we're going to talk about, this came in the middle of a big slump in his career. He was not doing well at the time that he made this. But we'll get there. I also, if you follow me on Instagram, then you will know that I was so sleep deprived while writing my notes that I kid you not, like 7 times I had to go back and change Wes Craven's name to Wes Craven from Wes Kramer.
I saw you post that. And it's so funny. I was like, oh, Siena. You poor baby child.
Not doing well, you guys.
And then you made the joke too. I told you to go to sleep, and you were like, no, Freddy Krueger will get you. And I was like,
can't sleep.
I was like, it'll give you a little adrenaline.
Yeah, a little boost.
Yeah, a little boost.
For the film.
Wes Kramer. If you say it, we all know now.
Yeah. If you know, you know.
I called Michael Myers Rob Zombie. So
Perfect.
We're fine. Tit for tat. Tit for tit.
Tid for Titty Twister. Produced by Robert Shea for New Line Cinema. This is the film that made New Line Cinema possible, pretty much, because this was one, we'll talk more about it in a second, but New Line Cinema, there's a long-standing joke that it's the house that Freddy built. Because,
Cute.
it was so, this film's success was so central to it being able to continue. So let's see. And we're going to talk about Robert Shea quite a bit, because if you watch closely in the opening credits, you'll see that his name appears like 4 times. He's like, he's one of those producers who's like, he's credited himself as like, this is a film by Robert Shea, a Robert Shea production, produced by Robert Shea with Robert Shea producer.
When I used to do that, yeah.
And it's
I had
like,
my little tagline put on everything.
Yeah, I did that too. But it's like, it's one thing when you're like directing it and writing it. Like, it's one thing if Wes Craven does that.
Yeah.
It's another thing if the guy from New Line Cinema does it. And we're
He's
gonna,
like, I'm a big boy now.
Yeah.
Hey,
And we're gonna talk more about him in a second. But okay, so stars, we have Heather Langenkamp as Nancy Thompson. She's also in New Nightmare, Just the 10 of Us, and Midnight Club. She was
Midnight Club's so good.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh, watch it. It's great.
John Saxon as Lieutenant Don Thompson, who's also in A New Nightmare. He was also in Black Christmas, which I propose we do for one of our holiday episodes this year.
Sure.
From Dusk Till Dawn, actually. I had a little cameo in that. And Enter the Dragon. Ronnie Blakely as Marge Thompson, who's mostly best known for her appearance in the Robert Altman film Nashville. You can also see a little bit of her in the recent Rolling Thunder review, that like Bob Dylan doc that Scorsese made. She's a singer, or started as a singer before she came to acting. And of course, Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. We're going to talk a lot about his casting. There's some great stories from it.
I'm so interested in that. Yeah.
And he's done so much besides this. He was in Lake Placid, the final chapter. He was in Spy Kids Mission Critical. He was in Stranger Things.
Spy Kids is like our through line.
Yes. Anytime I find a chance to shout out Spy Kids, I'm gonna shout out Spy Kids.
Maybe we should do an extra episode where we just cover Spy Kids.
A bonus Spy Kids episode. He also appears in an episode of Workaholics, which I thought was hilarious. But Freddy Krueger is what he's always going to be known for, even though part of the reason he even accepted this role in the first place is that it just happened to fit in this gap in his schedule between when he was shooting V, the miniseries, and V, the full TV series.
Wow, so both of Wes Craven and like Robert Englund were meant to find each other because like both had these gaps happening.
100%. And he had originally pictured somebody very different for Krueger, and so it was very much this like fated moment.
Yeah.
And of course, Johnny Depp, we all know and hate, in his screen debut as Glenn. I'm not interested in spending more time on him, so I said, let's just leave him in his jar of dirt, screw the lid shut, and move on.
Oh, I love Johnny Depp, though. He's such a good actor. Do you not think he's a good actor, though?
I
like,
really liked
from, like,
him
what
in
you feel
Benny and
personally?
June, and
Benny and June's so
early Johnny Depp. I really liked. Recently, I feel like he just like feels like a plastic man to me.
I think
he's
just doing, I don't know. I feel
he's
like
not
he's
doing
doing
well.
Things.
Yeah.
I don't think he's
Yeah.
doing well, but young era,
Johnny
but
Depp,
introducing Johnny Depp is wild.
And of course, that's the screen credit we get and introducing Johnny Depp, which
he is baby in this.
Yeah,
but so good.
Baby girl in this.
Yeah, baby girl.
He is
that
baby
crop?
girl in this.
Crop
Yeah,
top?
yeah. I should have
So
worn a
iconic.
crop top in today. I really should have.
Oh
I
my God, you
missed my
should've.
opportunity.
Anyways,
Why did I
moving
dress
on.
as Freddy instead of Johnny? What's wrong with
I know,
me?
this is very out of
That
character.
tells you how sleep deprived I am.
Truly.
I missed out on the obvious low-hanging slutty fruit. Okay.
Truly.
So, moving into my quote on how Wes Craven was doing at the time that he made this, namely badly.
Oh no, you're like relate.
Yeah, no, this was such a good film for me to be covering right now, Al. So Craven said, quote, I couldn't get any work, no paycheck for 3 years. I lost my house. I had to borrow money from Sean, Friday the 13th Sean, and Last House on the Left Sean, to pay my taxes. Also, my first marriage had failed. I was smoking a lot of grass. Then I graduated to cocaine. Finally, I walked away from the drugs, and I had this one idea. So I set off to write a script.
Good for him, though.
Right? Like,
getting
what
his shit together.
Like, what an icon.
I mean, he went down first, but then, climbed back up.
And, like, that
Got out
sense
of
of,
the
like,
nightmare.
all I know how to do is fucking write my way out of it. Like, hats
Really
off to you,
cool.
man.
Yeah, good for him.
So,
Good for him.
and as is often the case in Craven movies, this does a lot from his childhood, from his, like, social, cultural context, from, like, political things going on at the time. And in this case, he's given a lot of interviews about the fact that part of the inspiration behind the idea for Nightmare on Elm Street was these articles that he'd been reading about refugees, Hmong refugees fleeing genocide in, I think, Cambodia, who had such terrible nightmares that there were essentially 3 different cases in California at the time that he was living there, I think, of these kids who had these essentially like traumatic nightmares about the experiences they'd had, started refusing to go to sleep because they were so scared of having dreams, and then would stay up for days to like a week plus on end, and then when they finally fell asleep, mysteriously died in their sleep. And there were CDC studies done on this trying to figure out what it was. It was kind of the conclusion that they eventually came to was that it was probably a rare cardiac condition.
Yeah.
But even those studies, and I like found, and I'll link to in my notes, the CDC studies, they're from like 86 to 88, and this movie came out in 84. So at the time that he made this, it wasn't known what was going on with these cases, and Wes said that he'd seen a couple articles like this come out, and none of the articles connected them to these other cases, and so he was seeing this and going like, there's a pattern and nobody's seeing it. And so that was some of the inspiration behind it, which I was like, ooh, we love.
Gosh. I wonder if he was using one of those things in a library when you get to flip through the newspapers. with
Oh,
a
like the
button.
microfilm?
I want to do that so bad. Discover something.
It seems like it'd be so satisfying, right?
Yeah.
There's also a little bit of lore saying that there's some people who insist that this film was actually inspired by a parody film that Wes Craven's students shot when he was working at Clarkson University, sorry, where they had like a horror film, like comedy parody that was shot on a street called Elm Street. And I was like, it's possible that had something to do with it.
Or he
but
like
if
gave
you
them a little nod, like it was a cute little like, hey, like.
Or if you've ever been to the East Coast, names are really uncreative there, and there's Elm Streets fucking everywhere.
We actually on road trips talk about like little cul-de-sac names. So it's like Forest Glen, Fox Fields. It's always like an
Foxfield.
animal and then like a place or like a river.
That's
or
your stripper
something.
name.
Yeah. A cul-de-sac name could be
a stripper name.
Yeah.
Fox Guild, Forest Glen.
Yeah. Raven
I'd go to see that
Stream.
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? That's all you have to do. So yeah, feel that. Feel that for sure. That's funny.
And like most good horror villains, Freddy himself as a figure kind of came from this like traumatizing childhood experience that Craven had, where when he was a little kid, one time there was like this side path running past his garden window. And one time at night, this like old creepy man walked up to the window and looked in at Craven, and he like made eye contact with him, and he and the man had like a moment looking at each other, and then the man walked on, and he was like,
to me as a kid.
oh no.
Yeah, I can't remember the story now if it was like I saw him in my bedroom, my mom walked in and there was like a man standing at my bedroom window. So
gotta make
I can't
a horror
remember
film about this.
Yeah. Well, I did. It's called Nightmare on Elm Street.
There you go.
I am. Takes off mask. Wes Craven.
You're
I'm
Wes
back.
Kramer.
Applause.
That's
So
the
glad you went
content
there
you all
with
come
me.
here
Yeah.
for. Okay.
Our Seinfeld music.
Oh my
impression.
god, that was so bad. So here's a Craven Kramer quote on his childhood monster. He said, in a sense, Freddy stands for the worst of parenthood and adulthood, the dirty old man, the nasty father, and the adult who wants children to die rather than to help them prosper. He's the boogeyman and the worst fear of children, the adult that's out to get them. He's this very primal figure, sort of like Kronos devouring his children. The evil, twisted, perverted father figure that wants to destroy and is able to get them at their most vulnerable moment when they're asleep. Which I also like. Reading that quote and thinking about it, I was like, there's almost this like inverted Peter Pan quality to him, where it's like he wants to steal the youth from the children.
Okay, so the book I'm still reading years later because I can't finish it because it's so good. Is it's from Jamie So Hook's point of view. I think I brought it up
you
before.
told me about this.
And Peter Pan is literally doing that.
Oh.
He is stealing. He's killing parents in the real world, and making him orphaned, and he's like, come
Peter
live with me
Pan's
in this world
terrifying,
forever,
dude.
and then if you want to leave,
Yeah.
he kills you. I know, so he is. I believe that.
Yeah. Peter Krueger.
Peter Krueger.
Speaking of Freddy's name, may ring a bell from our last House on the Left discussion where we talked about Krug.
Yeah.
The fact that,
oh my god, yeah.
the
Oh my
fact
god, I
that
didn't even think about that.
Krug is named for the same person that Freddy Krueger is named for, which is Wes Craven's childhood bully, Fred Krueger. He just took his name directly and named
just,
not
"Fuck
one
you."
but two of
He
his
really
horror
put
villains
his, like-
directly after it.
Can you imagine being Fred Krueger, going to see this, and you're like, is this fucking play about me? It's like, actually, yeah, it is Fred.
Yeah, his name's literally Fred Krueger, and he's like a child
How did
murderer.
he get away
who,
with
like,
that? Because there's
I
no
have-
way anymore.
Yeah, no, this would be so illegal now. Like, I have genuinely no idea how this movie is like still in
Yeah, how
distribution.
did they
given that,
you don't think the
but
Krueger family's after
who knows?
They're after their cut.
Yeah. Well, and the character was originally supposed to be a child molester rather than a child murderer, so it was going to
Do
be
they
like
play? I think they play that out in the newer film.
They do,
Okay, they do.
yeah,
I got
yeah.
nods all around.
Mhm,
Wow,
mhm.
everybody nodded very hard at me.
I have not seen the newer film, but
I liked
yeah.
them. That's actually
Oh.
what got me kicked. Again, that newer one kicked me off to go
interesting.
back and watch. I've only seen like 2 of these. I think that's it.
Oh yeah, let's quickly backtrack. Tell me about your watch experience. Was this you've seen this before?
I have,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I've only seen this one a handful of times. I'm not really, again, I feel like it's so funny. A lot of classic, like,
Mhm,
monster movies, stuff
mhm.
like this, I'm familiar with, like, Wolfman and Creature from the Black Lagoon and like the
40s and
Tingler and
50s
yeah,
stuff,
but I'm not. I've like weirdly
The
unfamiliar.
gap that I'm the most familiar with,
like the 80s.
Yeah.
I feel like I just haven't seen, and it like I'm waiting for the time when I can just binge all these and feel like it's gonna be awesome. But watched the newer ones. I keep forget when those ones came out. But saw those in theaters and then went back and watched this one and another one. But I'm not as familiar with Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. But I gotta say, I love this character. So it was really fun to watch. I do love this era of film, especially horror. I think it's just so unrelentingly 80s.
It's very 80s and such like lighting. 80s practical effects.
Oh, it's just so good. So loved it. Was really happy I watched it. I want to watch some more now because of it. So yeah, you?
You know, we were talking earlier about how everybody has like their one like childhood horror movie that like fucked them up. This might be it for me. Because I haven't seen this since high school. I saw it once in high school at like a slumber party in like.
Ooh, that's really gonna get you if you're at a slumber party. Too,
yeah,
you just have screaming people all around you.
Yeah, well, it was like around Halloween time. It was at my house. I had like a couple friends over. I was making everybody watch horror movies because I was that kid, you know.
Yeah.
And I just remember the way that it plays with the space between waking and dreaming being so deeply viscerally terrifying to me because like a lot of my own worst nightmares are dreams that start with me waking up. Like I have a lot of like meta dreams like that.
Do you really?
Yeah, and they're horrible. I have so many dreams where like I'll wake up in the dream and be like, oh, that was a terrible nightmare I just had. Let's go about my regular day. And then like there are monsters and like there's like a weird doppelganger of people I know and there's like 5 of them and I have to figure out which one's the real one.
That's
like,
terrible. I've never had a waking up in my I just will wake up from dreams and be convinced for like a little bit that was real.
Yeah.
Like that was
happens
yesterday.
to me all the time too.
But not that's spooky.
So because of that, this like really gets at me. And
the imagery in this though too with the friend in the beginning that dies. Holy fucking shit, that is good. That is good. Like it scares me now. The way she was moving and like riding around on the ceiling and stuff I can't imagine seeing that as a kid.
I know.
That would have completely I probably would have been afraid too because I have always had really visceral dreams. I used to astral project in my dream. Me and my mom both were like,
yeah, me too.
We do that. So I think if I would have saw this at that time like you did, I don't know if I would have been able to sleep.
Yeah. No, it like deeply fucked me up. And I was probably like 14 too. We're not talking like super young, but like but old enough that it left like a really deeply formative impression on me, and I had not revisited it since. This was my first rewatch since that high school one that like terrified me. Yeah. And it was.
And you're like, I'm in between the space of sleep and awake right now too.
I am. And I was watching it and I was like, it could be a complete coincidence, but in the spirit of Wes Craven stealing Fred Krueger's name directly from his childhood hero, I'm just gonna call out right now that there's a scene in this movie that there's like 7 lines of dialogue from that are directly in my script. Ooh. Like almost word for word. Ooh. In a completely different context.
Right.
For like meaning something completely different, but I like heard the dialogue and I was like,
you were like, hello?
Yeah. So
you imagine the TV was just talking to you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I had a very weird watch experience, you guys. I'm still a little spooked by it.
Oh, that's jarring.
I like need to like post like the page of my script versus because it's like.
Can you please actually?
I watched this and I was like, oh my God, do I need to like go back and rewrite this scene? Like, again, totally different context. It means something totally different.
And you clearly didn't know.
No, because again, I hadn't rewatched it in literally like 13 years. But
your dreams were talking to you, Siena.
Clearly, Wes Craven, Wes Kramer came in and was like, needs more Kramer.
Needs more Kramer.
And 13 years later, I was like, more Kramer indeed. So don't know where I was trying to go with that. Anyway, so that's my background with this movie. Had really potent watch experience. There's like a ton of imagery from it too, like the way that the broken glass gets used in this, where I'm like, how did I not realize that? I like clearly need to make my crew watch this over
Watch
the next
this?
week.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's
I love
that's what I'm getting
that.
at. So like really good timing. Thank you for giving me the
Yeah.
chance to watch this. Gave me an identity crisis. So Craven made this after 1982's Swamp Thing. That was his previous film before this, which
That's so funny.
I haven't seen it either.
I said Creature from the Black Lagoon.
But it actually had a slightly higher budget than this film and did
makes
not
sense.
do super well. But this project had a notoriously difficult time getting financing, which is hilarious looking back on it because it's, you know, such a genre-defining movie now.
Yeah.
But actually the first people who were interested in producing it were Disney, but only if they cut it back to PG-13. And Craven was like, nah, which, thank God,
Yeah.
would have been terrible.
I can imagine if Freddy Krueger was a Disney prince.
Right? Disney princess, come on.
True, actually, yeah.
With like a little like striped red and green dress.
Yeah. Oh, what a cutie. Somebody
I
do that.
know.
Somebody artistic do that.
Aw, somebody with more talent. Paramount passed because they thought it was too similar to Dreamscape, which came out the same year, which like now I'm like, I don't know what Dreamscape is.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
my brain went to DreamWorks.
Yeah, same. I was like, all I'm picturing is the logo with the like,
Yeah, me too, with the little kid
the
fishing.
moon. Yeah. Yep. Universal passed, and Craven was so salty about Universal passing.
I would be too. Just after we're doing Swamp Thing, because that's Universal.
That he, and what I wrote was like an incredibly me move. He tacked the rejection letter to the wall, and he has a quote where he quotes the rejection letter word for word. So clearly he had it memorized.
Yeah.
And it said, "Unfortunately, the script did not receive an enthusiastic enough response from us to go forward at this time. However, when you have a finished print, please get in touch and we'd be delighted to screen it for a possible negative pickup." Which again, who boy do I relate, because part of the reason it took me 4 to 6 years, depending on how you count it, to get my film made is because there were a whole bunch of studios that I shopped it to who almost put like a couple $1,000,000 in, and then at the last minute we're like, you know, we decided it's quote unquote too dark for us, but come back to us when you've found somebody to finance the film for you and you've got it made, and maybe we'll distribute it. And I'm like, well, fuck you then. You're never gonna see it.
Just all those notes live over your bed.
Yeah, they're all just tacked up above my bed frame.
I mean, yeah, that's hard to hear the almost. I'd rather be like, reject me.
Exactly.
Like, just reject me fully. I don't need the possibility of it could have been.
And this was actually one of the very first projects that New Line produced instead of just distributing. Before that, they were only like a distribution house. And their main thing was like distributing things to college campuses, partially because Robert Shea's dad had worked as a wholesale food distributor. And so he was like, I know
Robert
how
Shea's
to do
making
this.
more sense as you start to bring out more information about it.
It's going to make increasingly more sense as we continue. He is like a classic producer character type.
My father owns the Grand Meats, and I'm
Grand
going to be
Meat.
the Grand Meat Prince.
I'm the prince
I
of
don't
the
know.
Grand Meats. My God, sorry, that really threw me there. And so New Line was doing so badly at the time that they were producing this that there was actually like a 2-week period where apparently nobody could pay the cast or crew. And the fact that they continued working during that
means they all cared about it.
means they all cared about it. That's like pretty amazing.
Or like believed in Wes Craven. Yeah.
But funding ended up being cobbled together from a combination of international financiers, which is why you get things like Good Egg Pictures presents.
Oh, got it.
It's like a kind of seems like a sort of sketchy shell company type situation. Didn't do a whole lot of research into it, but lots of money from Eastern Europe, 10% contribution from the folks who financed Texas Chainsaw, which I thought was cute. And Shea actually said that every single one of the original investors who was on board ended up backing out at one point or another, which again, I was like, I'm so glad to be watching this like right before I go off to film. It's comforting.
It doesn't matter. It's just like, film is so all over the place.
Yeah.
You just never can bet
And
on
like
any which way.
And like, look what got made.
Yeah.
The ending was also significantly rewritten to have more Hollywood appeal, which I have a quote from Craven. Hollywood appeal. Craven's like very unhappy with where this film ends. That's the only thing that he's not happy about. So it's kind of a Rob Zombie kind of moment. So here's his quote. He said, "The original ending of the script has Nancy come out the door. It's unusually cloudy and foggy." This is where they had trouble getting the fog outside.
In 2009.
Exactly. A car pulls up with her dead friends in it. She's startled. She goes out and gets in the car wondering what the hell is going on. They drive off into the fog. The mother is left standing on the doorstep, and that's it. It was very brief, very suggestive that maybe life is sort of dreamlike too. Shay wanted Freddy Krueger to be driving the car and to have the kids screaming. It all became very negative. I felt a philosophical tension to my ending, and Shay said, "That's so 60s. It's stupid." I refused to have Freddy in the driver's seat, and that's when we thought about 5 different endings. They end up shooting multiple endings, too.
Oh, damn.
The one we used with Freddy pulling the mother through the doorway amused us all so much we could not use it.
It's so fun.
It's really
also, she
funny.
goes, pew!
Yeah.
She just gets, like...
And the hole is so small that she goes back through.
I'm glad they kept it because it's so funny.
It's really funny.
So funny.
But
she just gets yeeted in there.
It seems like he feels okay about that part, but not okay about the Freddy Krueger convertible, which I understand.
I'm gonna be honest, is there anyone that owns that? I want one so bad. Imagine driving around town with that, the Freddy Krueger mobile.
The Krueger-mobile.
The Krueger-mobile.
The Krueger-mobile. I love it.
And just the little license plate just says bully.
Oh my god.
If you know, you know.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I thought,
how did you feel about it?
I just liked that it was that because it's just so like
It's
campy
silly.
at the end.
It's
anyways,
so
it
silly.
feels very Heathers coded.
This movie is so Heathers. That was
Yeah.
something else that I was thinking a lot watching it this time. It was like
so good.
Oh, it's so Heathers.
I'm glad Krueger wasn't driving the car. That's if he would have transformed, maybe. I don't know. I didn't hate it. Just feels so goofy
It's
by
so
the
funny.
end. Anyways.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you point this out, but there's like moments of what's her name? Nancy?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Dad, come in 20 minutes."
Oh yeah.
She did that whole montage in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
She screwed in light bulbs, gunpowder, all that stuff. So like that's the part I got angry about, not the striped car.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
yeah.
there's some time continuity issues in this film
Huge.
for sure.
Yeah. But love the ending. I thought it was perfect.
So moving on to cast and crew. David Warner from God damn. I'm behind on my game.
Yeah.
God damn it.
That was a Siena thing.
Cast and crew. I'm so sad. So David Warner from Star Trek, Tron, Titanic, etc. was originally cast as Freddy, but had to drop out, and they had a really hard time finding somebody else that Wes was happy with. Kane Hodder, who plays Jason Voorhees, was considered for a while.
Whoa.
But here's an interview from, I believe this is from Craven on Casting England. Yes. "I couldn't find an actor to play Freddy Krueger with the sense of ferocity I was seeking. Everyone was too quiet, too compassionate towards children." Then Robert Englund auditioned. He wasn't as tall as I'd hoped, which is a big thing they talk about.
Tiny.
He's a tiny man. And he'd really wanted like a Jason type figure who's like hulking. But he wasn't as tall as I'd hoped. He had baby fat on his face, but he impressed me with his willingness to go to the dark places in his mind. Robert understood Freddy. And then we have Robert Englund's side of the story.
Oh God.
And so Englund,
goofy.
yeah, much more goofy. So Englund's rep's friends kind of like coached him a little bit for the audition and were like, play it like rat-like and weasel-like. And so that was kind of like the energy that he took in, which really smart. So he, on the drive over, took cigarette ash from his car, put it under his eyes to make his eyes a little bit darker, slicked his hair back to like look more like greasy and slimy.
Yeah.
And here's a quote from Englund about his audition that I just like, I love. I feel like you can picture it so clearly, especially after hearing that God, I keep wanting to call him Kramer, that Craven's take was like that he has this like willingness to go to the dark places in his mind.
Okay, yeah. Keep that in mind. Got it.
And then Englund's like, I looked strange. I just sat there and listened to Wes talk. He was tall and preppy and erudite. I posed a bit like Klaus Kinski, and that was the audition.
What?
Yeah.
That was it? He's like, got it.
Yeah. He like just comes in and he's like,
ready to
just posing.
Yeah.
And Craven's like, he'll go to the dark places in his mind.
Can see it.
Yeah.
He's got cigarette on his face.
It's just so goofy, right?
I want to say it's like underwhelming of a story.
Yeah,
I
but
wish
like
it was more
funny.
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
weird kind of approach to casting the teens. There were no auditions for Tina. Instead, everybody who went out for either Tina or Nancy was only given Nancy's sides to read, the Heather Langenkamp character. And then if they made that round of cuts, they got mixed back into the pool and kept doing pairings of people to look for the right chemistry. And then once they cast the two female leads, they used a similar approach to cast the guys, taking them and doing them in pools against the girls to find who they had the best chemistry with.
Oh wow! So they were more chemistry based than anything. I think that was
really
smart.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And Glenn, the Johnny Depp character, was actually written to be this blonde jock type, and the only reason that Johnny Depp got cast, have you heard this story?
No, I don't think so.
It's because Wes Craven had all of the headshots for the potential actors for the character on his kitchen table. He showed them to his daughters and was like, which one would you pick?
Yeah.
And they picked Johnny Depp. And he was like, that guy, he looks like he needs a shower. And they were like, yeah.
Yeah. That's doing it for us.
Yeah.
The volume of that hair.
Yeah, exactly.
God, so we have children to thank for Johnny Depp's
100%
roles and everything now.
Wow. Wes Craven's
the teens
Craven's
were
daughters.
great in
That's
this,
it.
to be fair.
They did a really good job
They
casting
felt
them.
believable, especially for the time and how campy this could feel.
Oh,
I actually
yeah.
felt like they were very grounded.
I think all four of them give quite solid performances. However, before the part went to Johnny Depp, it actually was offered to Charlie Sheen, who turned it down. And there's some discrepancies about why it was turned down. The casting director says that he turned it down because he wanted twice as much money, which sounds pretty likely. And Charlie Sheen is like, I didn't get greedy until much later in my career. That's not why I turned it down. And there's a hilarious quote from him where he says that he turned it down because he just didn't get it, and actually told Craven that to his face and said, quote, when I met him, I said, look, with all due respect, and as a fan of your talents, I just don't see this guy wearing a funny hat with a rotted face and a striped sweater and a bunch of clacky fingers. I just don't see it catching on.
Oh my God. That's
Can you imagine going to Wes Craven and being like, this guy with the clacky fingers? I just don't see it catching on.
But isn't that wild? You think now.
Yeah.
But then I guess if you're reading something, it could seem like reading a script is.
It's something.
Yeah, if you get it or you don't.
You get it or you don't.
Yeah, you see it or you don't.
And I found the only quote I'll give about Johnny Depp, and then we're done, from Heather Langenkamp. She said, Johnny was very nervous. In the scene at Tina's house, he got flustered by all the sound cues. And so when Tina and I are laughing in that scene, we're totally laughing at Johnny.
Oh, no. That's so sad.
So everybody laugh at Johnny Depp.
His first bullies.
Yep. First of many.
Oh man, yeah. That was so funny though.
Right?
I love that scene.
I want you to guess what you think the budget was for this movie.
83? 4? What did we say it was?
84.
And then New Lights kind of new.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say 5 million.
Lower.
Oh, 3?
Lower.
Whoa. 2?
Lower.
1?
More or less, yeah.
Whoa.
The figure given on IMDb is 1.8. The figure given in interviews by the cast and crew is that it was supposed to be, the original budget was like 700 to 800,000, and it went over budget to 1.1. My guess is that the difference between the 1.1 and the 1.8 is post-production costs, and that it was 1.1 for production costs, which is tiny for this time period.
Yeah.
Again, less than his previous
so
film.
big too.
It
That's
does.
why I went up, because I was just like, it feels like the sets feel big.
Well, and there's one particular set that required a lot of construction, had some very serious things go wrong with it, which we'll get to that in just a moment. But so yeah, tiny budget, still big compared to, he comes from Last House on the Left, which was like less than 100,000, but still tiny, and made back about 57.1 million. So did very well. It also, later down the line, there's all this stuff where for a while he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He relinquishes rights to merchandise and all that stuff, and gets angry when he sees it making all this money, which is why he eventually comes back down the line to like do a sequel and gets retroactive rights.
Okay.
And then goes on to nickname his own house that he buys off of that the house that Freddy built, as well as New Line Cinema.
Okay.
So just a little rich people
Backtrack,
tidbit for
yeah.
you. Freddy's makeup designed by David B. Miller, who used reference photos from burn victims from the UCLA Medical Center to create the look, which was partially a choice on Craven's part to distance it from this kind of, as I was alluding to earlier, slate of heavily masked villains that came out after Texas
Right.
Chainsaw. There was a while where Freddy had a sickle instead of a glove, which
Okay.
would have had a very different feeling, I think.
Yeah.
Then when they actually decided on the glove, they had to build 2 different models of it. One for scenes where things actually had to be cut that
Okay,
had
yeah.
actual like razors, and one with like dulled edges for
So he could actually not hurt himself,
Mhm,
like on
mhm.
Texas Chainsaw.
Exactly.
no real chainsaws.
And just like a delightfully nerdy director choice, which I think reveals so much about Wes as a person. That like iconic red and green stripes for Freddy's outfit, chosen because Craven had read recently an article in Scientific American magazine talking about how the color combination of red and green is the most clashing to human eyes.
Oh.
And he wanted something that was as like jarring as possible.
that's amazing.
So like, what a little nerd. I love
Yeah,
it.
color theory nerd. I love color theory
Mhm.
stuff,
Oh,
though.
me too. Principal photography started on June 11th, 1984,
Okay.
which is the year this is released.
with
So-
June?
yes.
Oh no.
Think about that for a second.
Yeah, there's like 6 months left of the year.
Yes. Shoot lasted 32 days.
Okay.
Gets released in November. This means that they had barely 4 months from wrap to release, which
Wow.
is
That's insane.
insane to me.
damn.
And also, just a
Both
little
of these
side
movies.
note, filmed in the same high school that was used for Grease and Pretty in Pink. So if those halls look familiar,
Love Pretty in Pink.
it's like
Grease.
the quintessential.
Grease too.
I don't know if Grease 2 was filmed there. Should have looked that up for you.
I don't know. We should look it up.
Here's the FX tid that
Yay.
I think this is my favorite story from the whole set.
Oh.
And that's saying
Bold
something.
choice.
Yeah. Stick with me. I think you will agree. Allegedly used about 500 gallons of fake blood. So far more than Dead Alive, which I had been like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's so many, like 79 gallons, 500 plus.
I mean, the one scene when it all comes like
The blood
Johnny
geyser.
Depp's- Yeah, the geyser.
Oh, we're going to talk about the blood geyser.
Good.
How do you think they shot that?
I just assume upside down.
It was upside down.
Yeah.
So what they did, they have this movable set, this rotating
I was
set.
wondering if it was rotating like Inception.
It's a rotating set like Inception. They create this contraption where they strap Craven and the camera operator into seats taken from a Datsun, like a car. Yeah.
We got Dodson here.
Yeah, we've got Datsun. So they've like ripped these seats out. They've strapped them in like they're race car drivers. They
Have so much fun.
Yeah, I know. They like flip the set so
Yeah.
that it's upside down. Then they flip the camera so it looks like
Yeah.
it's right side up. The room is supposed to, the camera's supposed to stay still while the room
Right,
slowly
rotates, like,
rotates
around.
around them as the blood geyser like shoots
Oh.
out. However,
Oh no.
this all sounds like it's going to be great, right?
Yeah.
And it looks amazing. The
Yeah.
end result is amazing. I'll also say, just as kind of like a side tidbit before we get to the really good bit, they couldn't use like regular fake blood to shoot that because it was like too thick. So they had to just use red dyed water to get the right
Oh,
kind of
wow.
consistency
Okay.
for the geyser effect they were going for. But so, what went wrong?
Oh no.
Well, they've got them inverted. They've got them strapped into the Datsun. They've got the camera inverted. They're pouring the dyed water into the room. But they haven't calculated for the weight of that much fake blood. And so all of a sudden,
the bed just like burst.
no. So they've got the whole like genie team, like the grips and they're all supposed to be like standing on the side of the set, like slowly spinning it.
Okay.
And the blood comes gushing out, and all of a sudden, it like makes the entire set start spinning really, really fast and drenches everybody in blood. And Kramer. Just like Kramer.
And Kramer came in. That got real wild. Everyone started applauding.
Yeah, and Craven is like drenched in blood. Heather Langenkamp is like drenched in blood. Johnny Depp's drenched.
How do you
Everybody's
clean
drenched.
that up. Can you only do one? Like they had to clean that up and do it again.
Yeah. which is probably
How do
why
you
they
do
needed
that?
500 gallons of blood.
Holy shit.
Isn't that an amazing
Can you imagine
mental
just being like
image?
far enough away
Yeah.
where you're like just at the crafty table and just
And you
like
just
grabbing
hear,
a
like,
carrot and then you just like
"Ah!"
look over and like Genie team goes flying and there's just blood everywhere. You're like, I don't know
It's
to
just
be.
this like jet of red water. You see Wes Craven like strapped into a Datsun seat
Just
go
"Ah!"
flying.
The imagery of that is one of my favorite things.
Yeah. See,
Favorite
I told
thing.
you.
Oh
Is
my
it not the
God.
best story from this set?
Oh my god.
It's a pretty
I would
good one.
pay so much money to see what that looked like at the time.
Yeah.
But they got it to work though.
they got it to
kind of.
work. Yeah. So I
How do you clean that up though? I'm still stuck on that.
have no
What's the
idea.
cleanup look like?
I mean, probably part of the reason why they had to use red water, because it's probably
Just
easier
hose
to
it
just like
down?
hose it down. But even so, like
What a nice stain. That's insane.
it's yeah.
That's so cool that they did it. I was wondering because even when she's walking, I'm like, you don't see
Mhm.
wires, you don't see things.
Yeah.
She's just crawling around
Mhm.
on the ceiling, which also brilliant acting because even seeing that,
Yeah.
knowing she's right side up doing
Right.
it, she's
she
like lifting
looks like
herself
she's,
in a
yeah,
way.
Yeah, her physical performance
Yeah,
is amazing.
it's so good. Also,
Mhm.
people like to give Inception that
Mhm.
rotating room. I'm like,
Nah.
they did it
Craven
first.
did it
Craven
first.
did it first.
Craven did it first and
Yeah.
so much
Holy
cheaper.
shit. Wow.
Mhm.
Oh my god, that's my
And he
favorite
got
fact.
drenched in blood for it.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
take that, Christopher Nolan.
Instead of yeah,
Um,
take that, Christopher.
so I'm not bitter.
Not Sienna. Not Kramer.
Freddy's boiler, his little boiler
Ah,
nest.
yeah.
In their original plans, there was actually going to be a lot more of the boiler shown, and they'd like dressed this whole set where you could see like this nest that Freddy has,
Like a
behind
bird
him.
nest?
Yeah, like a bird nest,
Really?
where it's
Like
like
of clothes from the children he takes.
yeah, it's clothes from the children he takes. It's like all this stuff, and it's a whole bunch of naked Barbie dolls, which I wrote slay.
oh my god,
slay.
I love that.
Yeah, what a great like
he's
sense
such
of
a
home
queen.
decor.
He's such a diva. He
He
should be a really. Is he a
is.
gay icon? He should be.
He should be.
Yeah.
We're
Is he?
deciding he is.
Yeah. Already not decided. We are deciding.
However, they ended up cutting those scenes, and not long after they shot the boiler room stuff, that whole building was condemned because it was so full of asbestos. So that's something.
Ruh-roh.
Mhm. And while we're talking about like how did they do that type
Yeah.
shots, the bathtub, one of the most famous
Oh,
images
yeah.
from this film.
Oh, so good.
It's so good, right? And
True
that's
fear.
yeah, that's
True fear.
That's one of the ones that I remember just like
That and pool.
imprinting on
Mhm,
me as
mhm.
a 14-year-old, just
Mhm.
being like, yeah, I'm gonna think about that.
I don't
for the
want
rest
that
of
many
my life
bubbles in my
every
bath
time.
anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I need to see the
Bath
bottom
oils from here forth.
Indeed. So they had a special bottomless tub that they put over a swimming pool,
Okay.
which like
Because yeah, there's no way to like cheat that even with camera
You can't
tricks. You would
cheat
have
that.
to put
yeah, there's just like not enough room for two people's bodies in the tub.
Yeah. I wasn't even thinking that.
Oh,
I was
that's
just
what my
thinking you
mind went.
couldn't cut. Like the cut would have been obvious, but you like actually
Mhm.
see. I don't know the way
Yeah.
they did it. It's yeah.
Genius.
Yeah.
But also again,
Ooh.
$1.1 million, and they've got a rotating room and like a inverted like. This
Yeah.
is insane.
It's
It's
wild.
insane. Also, the melting stairs. That was
I love the melting
so
stairs.
good, right?
It looks satisfying to step in.
It's an image from one of Robert Shea's nightmares, the producer, which like at least he contributed something.
Yeah,
I'll
true.
give him that
It's
one.
good imagery.
And want to take a guess at what they made him out of? When your foot goes through?
Kinetic sand.
No, but that's a good guess. It's pancake mix.
Ew.
Isn't that
I don't think that
gross?
sounds fun
Yeah.
anymore. I take it back. That sounds gross.
Squishy.
Ew, I could see.
Squishy.
I could feel it in my toes. I don't like it. Take it back. Take it back, Robert J. or whatever your name is.
You've
Ray
already
Shea.
got it. It's already in your claws now, Al.
Ugh,
In your razor
my
fingers.
paws.
Yeah.
My toe paws. What a faux pas. A toe paw. I don't know. Move
God.
on. Move on.
No.
That was a bad one. Let's move on
No.
from Cake Batter Kinetic Sand.
Stretchy wall was made out of spandex. You probably could guess that. But
Very effective.
the long arms,
Hate.
one of my favorite images in
Hate.
this movie. It's so gross, right?
Hate.
Isn't it terrifying?
I don't.
A long-armed man. I don't know what it is.
He could be
It's
over
so
there, but he
scary.
can get me here.
Yeah.
I don't like
Ugh.
that. I don't like this.
No.
I don't like the reach.
Yeah, Stretch Armstrong over here.
Yeah, not a fan.
So how they
Freaks me
shot
out.
that, they had basically people with fishing poles standing on either side of the alley operating the puppet arms attached to Freddy.
Different than what I would think he would just be holding little poles,
You
but
would
it might be
think.
heavy.
They're so long because those
Yeah.
things have to be like 10 plus feet,
Yeah,
right?
wide wingspan.
Wide wingspan. Yep. You know what they say about a Freddy with a wide wingspan?
Long claws.
Ugh.
Big claws.
God, I'm so sorry. While we're talking about claws, the reason why he got to the glove idea was that he'd been studying primal fears, like things that humans are subconsciously scared of across cultures, and one of the ones that he kept coming back to was animal claws, and so he was like, I wanted to have that kind of a feeling.
But they really downplay it by calling them fingernails.
They really do.
They yassified him a little bit.
Yeah, which also, it does make him kind of more of a gay icon, right?
Yeah. Except for the molesting part. We'll leave that part out. But,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know if it would be a fear.
Yeah,
I don't
for
know
you?
why. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
not really. The long arms.
Long
Yes.
arms, yeah. Long arms,
Not
the
the long
melting
nails.
staircase got me. Oh,
If they were actually long fingernails.
yeah, if they were
that
actual
would get me.
fingernails, that would be grosser
Yeah.
somehow.
Imagine.
Isn't that weird?
He painted them silver.
Spent like so long in the nail salon getting them like
Yeah.
sharpened to points.
Or he would slash someone. Oh, I broke a nail.
Ow!
He goes back to his
Oh my
Barbies.
God. Yes. So I brought in only one critic quote for this one, just because I think we all know this is like one of the best horror movies of all time. I think there's
Yeah.
like very little debate
Definitely
about
up
that.
there.
There were people who had like quibbles at the time it came out, but that's like
Quibbles.
the case anytime there's a horror
Not
movie.
quibbles.
Not quibbles. But there was one quote that I found really interesting, and I wanted to see what your take on it was, whether you
Ooh,
agreed or
okay.
disagreed.
Prepared.
So this is it's a contemporary review. So when the film
Okay.
came out, it was critic Kim Newman writing in the Monthly Film Bulletin. And she wrote, while the kissing telephone and the bottomless bathtub are disorienting in the David Cronenberg spirit, they get in the way of the relentless pursuing monster aspect that Carpenter manages so well. Where do you fall on the spectrum? Which of those two? Because I do feel like she's pointing to something that I agree with, which is that there's like two strains of horror in this. There's like the slasher man is chasing after you, and then
Yeah.
there's like the dream horror. Which
Right.
do you find more effective?
I don't know. Which do I find more effective? In terms of scaring me?
Yeah.
I don't know. You gotta think if you were like on a phone and like a tongue juts out. That's
That-
pretty jarring.
Yeah.
In a way that like on a day-to-day like if I just like if like a tongue just popped out of this microphone right now, I think I'd have an absolute fit.
Yeah, that would get me.
So I think
It'd
that
get me
would
pretty
scare
bad.
me. So maybe that.
I love that the reasoning you took to get there though was like, if I were to have a tongue pop out at me in this moment,
You gotta think that would, and like things are just doing that, or like a
Mhm.
bed's just grabbing you, or
Yeah.
like I actually think that would be because I feel like I wouldn't be able to trust anything versus like I know a
Mhm.
monster man's just coming after me, and
Yeah.
like that's consistent.
it's
There's inconsistencies
Yeah.
and unpredictability of the other part, and I think
Mhm.
that's what I don't think I'd be okay with that.
I agree. Part
It's
of
like a trip.
I'm far more frightened of the surreal imagery, and I think
Yeah.
to me part of it is that there's like this implication that comes with it, like Freddy is in everything. Like
That's
every
what I don't
tree
like.
is Freddy.
Yeah.
Every step on the
But the
staircase
thing,
is Freddy.
it's unpredictable. You
Mhm.
do not know versus like
There's nothing.
You know
safe.
Michael Myers is walking fucking behind you at a
Right.
slow pace.
Right.
You know?
You know that that's
could
Michael
get in a
Myers.
car
Right.
And you could drive 5
Right.
states over,
Right.
and you'd be good for at least a little bit.
A
It's
little
like the
bit,
snail
yeah.
trend that happened, where it's like the snail was chasing after people on TikTok. Do you remember that?
No.
There was like a Christmas song that would play, and it was like this. I love introducing you to the person
I love
of the internet
you
that I live on.
explaining internet things to
And
me
there's
that
like
I've
this
never
joke
encountered.
that if you have to keep moving because the snail's after
Oh
you.
my God.
And it's just like, I think the song was
Yeah.
like, the war is over. That song? I don't know. Maybe that was the wrong song. Trav, was that it? That wasn't it.
Nobody
Anyways,
knows.
it kind of
The
reminds me
world
of
may
that.
never
Like, you
know.
could just run away from the monster
Mhm.
man in that context, right? Most of these monster
Yeah.
figures, you can kind of just, at least for a
Mhm.
couple days, get some
Right.
rest.
Right.
But if you can't rest
Right.
because it's in everything,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ugh,
feel
that
like-
makes me so nervous.
Like a big bad chasing you, you can outsmart.
Yeah.
You can't outsmart your own dreams,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's why this movie gets me in a way that like few other
Yeah.
horror movies do. Like
Ooh,
it's
yeah, like imagine this chair just like wrapped
Yes.
around us in arms right now and held us down. Oh,
ugh.
how do you fight back? You
You
don't.
don't. You
just
can't.
succumb to the chair.
Exactly.
Cede the chair.
I'm never gonna live that down.
No.
Obviously, this is another film that's now in the Library of Congress. It's one of the ones that really cemented the idea of the slasher and gave us the Carol Clover as we know her, to which I wrote just as a little shout out to my actress Gracie Clover. I hardly know her. And it's been compared to films like The Wizard of Oz for the way that it kind of lives between a dream space and a real space, that kind of in-between space. There's actually a really interesting book written comparing the two that I want to go read.
In the article, the Collider article, they also ask about like movies that scared, like, why do you like dark things? They brought up Wizard of Oz.
Oh
and
my
I think
God.
the interviewer was like, that movie scared the shit out of me. I
Yeah.
was like,
It's fucking
and I think
terrifying.
it's so funny you just brought that up too.
It's
Yeah.
a terrifying movie.
Yeah, I don't like
think
it.
it is remarkable
like it for
to
multiple
me
reasons.
how many horror directors cite The Wizard of Oz as one
Yeah,
of their
so I
biggest
love
influences.
These both brought that up.
Look at that. Love a wizard tidbit.
Yeah.
A whiz tid.
A whiz tid. Yeah. Oh,
I
no.
hate that. Okay, moving on. Freddy made number 40 on AFI's 100 Years, 100 Heroes and Villains
Ooh,
poll.
yeah, he's got to be on there.
And of course, we've got novelizations, we've got sequels, we've got Michael Bay remakes, we've got planned and never made remakes, we've got porn remakes, which are hilariously credited on the OG Films
Is it just
Wikipedia
dildos
page.
on the fingers?
Oh my god, I love that. I was
Yeah.
gonna see if you could guess what the title of the porn remake is.
Freddy Krueger.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Freddie had
If
off
no one
to
has
Al.
that, anyone is
Let's
a
make
spicy
it.
content creator, an accountant out there. Freddy Krueger.
That's how I fund my next
yeah.
movie.
Let us be a sponsor.
Yeah, truly. It is Wet Dream on Elm Street.
Okay. I liked mine better.
Yours is better. Yours is better. But I'm kind of more interested in how this film went on to influence Craven himself.
Yeah.
And there's like a quote that I just wanted to share of him kind of looking back on it from 2014, where he said, "My mother never saw any of my films until she was in her late 80s, and that was Music of the Heart with Meryl Streep."
Oh, well, Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
I get it.
Her continual plea was, "Honey, why don't you make nice films?" She worked very hard to send me to college, and to her, I'd gone off and made these demented films full of violence. For many years, I felt like I'd
Generation.
failed my family.
Oh, no. That's too real sometimes. huh?
Yeah, right? So I just wanted to shout that out to be like, any of y'all who
Oh,
feel
that
like
was a
you're failing your
depressing
family, don't
not
worry, so
failing
does
us.
more.
Yeah.
So Wes Craven felt the same way too,
Yeah.
and he's Wes Craven. While we're on that note, there's not time for a full film theory rant corner because this is like the most film theoryable film like to ever film theory rant corner.
Yeah.
But I did want to just give like a little shout out because if there was like a Linda Williams-esque moment that I encountered in the oral history that I was reading, where Heather Langenkamp says, kind of looking back on her role in the film and her career, doing Nightmare didn't really help my career much because people have a stuffy mentality about horror films. I kind of feel what a porn actress might feel, trying to tell everyone how great her movie was. And I said, well, we're here to say we love you, body genre queens.
Yeah, truly.
Like,
Love body genre.
yes,
Body
and
horror is great.
that's something that I feel like I keep coming back to over and over again, is this like these things that like get pushed to the side of the regular film industry because they
Yeah.
are more bodily, more gross, more all of these things, more coded feminine. Like,
Yeah.
and I think this is another one that, you know, Langenkamp also, because this is one of the films that Clover like really takes down a lot in Men, Women, and Chainsaws.
Oh, really?
It's a lot of it is about her criticizing this Halloween Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and this in particular.
Why held this one out of all of them?
Right?
Just to be honest.
And Langenkamp, I just wanted to give her like the last word to clap back at Carol, said, Nightmare is a feminist movie, but I look at it more as a youth power film, which I thought is a really good,
for sure.
good distinction. And then just kind of going over my own watch notes a little bit, the opening scene this time of the glove being constructed,
Mhm.
I was like, I think this has to be what the credit sequence of Twin Peaks is based on, because the way that it's shot, the
Oh.
framing, the combination of it with this like early electronic score that has this kind of
Yeah.
badalamenti
Oh my god, I have to
vibe.
re-watch the opening with that context.
It felt so much to me like that opening with like the
love the
shots of
opening Twin
Lumbertown from Twin Peaks.
Bum,
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 bum. Lots of singing
Yeah.
this episode. Sorry,
We're
everybody.
doing a great job. Let's see. I also thought the burns kind of, they make it impossible to tell how old Freddy is, which I think really adds a lot to that kind of like reverse Peter Pan quality we're talking about.
I was gonna say too, if you said he walked in and like he thought he was too baby faced, it's like that also
Mhm.
concealed.
100%
Yeah,
helps
that
hide
for him.
that. The ending also felt like very Blue Velvet coated to me. That kind of sense of like everything's happy, or is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Like
I love that. I love
Mhm.
endings like that.
Me too.
That or just brutal sad endings.
yeah. Well, and I love the disorientation that we don't get her like waking up in the morning or anything. It's
Mhm.
like we see the confrontation and then she opens a door and steps out and it's daytime.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
that's
So good.
yeah, you cut out the
Jarring.
middleman. And I
Jarring
love
with
it.
how dark the whole film is, and then you get that.
Let's see what else. Just
I don't know.
the moment where Freddy appears and he has the glove and he's like, "This is God."
Oh
I
yeah.
was just like, I sure blocked that one out of my childhood because that was clearly another big influence on me. That's all I'm
Oh,
gonna
was
say.
it really? I just love when he's running down the alleyway and it looks like a 10-year-old child just going like monkey
know.
running, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm scared of him anymore.
There's something so like,
Childlike?
yeah, like I kind of want to protect him. You know?
Mm.
Do you feel the same?
No.
No, just me. Cool.
Yeah, just
Great.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said he reminds me
Oh no.
he reminds me in this one specifically
Mhm.
of like if you're out at a bar and a guy buys you a drink
Uh-huh.
wearing a fedora,
Oh my
and
god.
they just feel entitled to your attention
They're
all
like,
night.
but I bought you
That
a drink.
feels like him. He
Yes.
constantly feels like, Princess, I bought you a drink.
That's
you have
so
to pay attention
funny.
to me now. And I just like I'm so the greasy monk or the greasy rat that you said he dressed like,
Yes.
I feel like he gives me the ick.
Mhm,
Freddie gives
mhm,
me the ick.
mhm. Which like
I don't want to
that's-
protect him. I want to
that's the
fucking
goal.
punt him
That's
out
so
and just watch it go pew. But he gives me that energy.
That's so funny. I also
Yeah, icky boy. Icky boy. Icky boy Freddy.
I'll end on this as like my goofiest watch note.
Oh god.
Just
Yay. I love when you have
goofiest
these.
among a lot of goofy watch notes. I cracked myself up so hard at this idea that I literally had to like pause the movie and go and like just like
Take a
cackle
lap.
to myself in a corner for a while because I was thinking about like, okay, so they have the
Oh no. I'm afraid that I'm not gonna think this is funny.
I feel like I've like built this up so much nobody else is gonna find this funny at all. But the fact that we know that they used 500 gallons of blood
Yeah.
for that one scene, and it's supposedly just Johnny Depp's death, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is like Johnny Depp's body contains 500 gallons
Oh yeah,
of
yeah,
blood.
yeah. Yeah, and he's the littlest one.
yeah, he's the world's juiciest boy.
Okay, that's really funny. Ew, that's what his what Craven's kids were thinking too. They're like, Dad, this is the world's juiciest boy. That's maybe what they said to him.
Exactly. He's like, well, I gotta cast him. He's the world's juiciest
Oh,
boy.
gross.
Yeah,
I
so-
hate that so much.
I'm so glad you found it funny too, because
Oh my God.
I thought the sentence "he's the world's juiciest boy" to myself, and like had to pause the video and like literally go like laugh like a madman for like 10 minutes.
Oh my god, that's so stupid. I love it.
That's all I got, and that's
great.
That's
And
a
that's
wrap
Nightmare on
on Nightmare on
Elm
Elm Street, everybody. World's juiciest boy.
Ew. Ending on this note. Oh my god, makes my cheeks hurt.
Think how dense he'd have to be.
I mean,
That
truly.
much-
No bones,
that
just
much
juice.
just juice.
He's like a little water balloon boy.
You poke him and he just like, whoa. Yeah.
Oh my god. Why do we do this to ourselves? Is anybody still listening? Are you guys still out there?
Who knows?
Send help.
We don't know.
Send help. Oh my god, well, that was fun.
That was something. That was nothing.
Yeah.
We need to tell people. Did we tell people already what our next episode is? I don't think we did.
We teased it so many fucking times, but we actually decided we are doing it.
It's happening.
So wrap on this season, I guess we're calling it. Kind of.
Happy end of season 1.
Happy Halloween.
Come back in the exact same amount of time that it always is between episodes for the start of season 2.
So we decided, because technically when we film next will be like our kind of official year. We decided
also be mid-shoot when we
we're
film our
still in
next
Siena, just for you guys. We're trying to keep this on track just for you all. So Siena will be hopefully less delirious. I feel
we'll
like
see. It'll be
in your
interesting.
last
Yeah.
week-ish.
It's also, we're talking about a film that I love a lot.
Finally. We talked about this, I feel like, day 1.
I think so. Yeah.
So we're doing
Invasion of the Potty Snatchers.
P-O-D-D-Y.
P-O-D-D-Y.
Not the toilet snatchers.
Pod-e Snatchers. We're doing
People
a
are like,
pod
what film
people
is that?
pairing
Yeah.
for our pod birthday.
Yeah,
So
you're doing the
78.
which that tracks, but I'm going back in time to 53,
54, I think, which is
Yeah.
one of the rare times when you take the earlier film.
I know. I think this might be the second time.
I think like second
ever.
time ever, yeah. There was like a
I
couple
love
where
this
they were like
era.
within 2 years of each other, but for it to be this big a gap. Yeah.
I love early. This is my like favorite era of.
That's so funny.
This was what like kind of teed me off. What are you guys giggling
What
about
are
over
you
there?
snickering at? What's
You didn't say the name of the movie.
Invasion of the Potty Snatchers.
Invasion of the Bot?
Potty Snatchers. They thought we didn't see the name. You guys heard us.
I was making a joke.
I'm sorry. Are you not used to a year of puns on this show?
I didn't say it was a good pun, but it was a pun, people.
They got it. Snickering amongst themselves. Anyways.
Nobody appreciates
Before we were
me.
rudely interrupted. I
So
think
that's what we're doing.
yeah, that's what we're doing. Invasion
Yeah.
of the Body Snatchers, in case anyone mistook what we said, Warren Travis.
in case everyone's being overly literal here.
What do we have? I don't even know what
think
to
that's-
talk about. I think that's kind
We're showing Nightmare on Elm Street and Holly
It's already
Hazmat.
happened. It's
Wait,
already
oh
happened.
no, has it already happened?
Yeah, it's happened.
Oh, yeah,
This
it's
comes out on the 28th. So Holly Hazmat was here.
Holly Hazmat was here.
Loved it.
Yeah,
I'm assuming
you
we
did
had a
great
wonderful
job,
time. Holly, snaps. We honestly,
Slay.
everyone should go follow Holly Hazmat.
Yeah.
Early listener, I feel like, for us.
Truly.
And also just like a horror drag icon.
They're
and
amazing.
they're doing
Has
their
an
Freaky
incredible-
Freddy.
Yes.
So great job, Holly.
Yeah. We love. Yeah.
But
What
yeah,
else?
I don't know.
Are there
We're doing some film noir in November at the Jean Cocteau Cinema.
November. We were
did
gonna
The
have
Blob,
yeah,
War of the Worlds,
and Vertigo, which I
and
love.
Vertigo.
I really want to cover Vertigo for the podcast.
Yeah, I'm down. But yeah, so I think that's it
That's,
on
I
us.
think, our
Otherwise,
things.
follow us everywhere on
Yeah.
social media at Splice and Splatter Pod or
Yeah.
Splice Splatter. We have very much the Behind the Screams episode has been out for a while now. And if you guys want to see any more behind the screams and want us doing stuff
Yeah.
after Siena shoots their film, which
True.
we actually might do.
Oh, we're doing a behind the screens.
Yeah, we're doing a behind the
Yeah.
screams of Siena's film. So we'll
Yeah.
see. That should be coming up for you guys probably
Oh, yes.
soon-ish,
Soonish,
after you listen
yeah,
to
because
this.
we're gonna shoot that the week
the
the week
20-something.
that we shoot this.
Yeah. So
or the week that this comes out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Times-
Other than that,
Ugh.
thank you all for listening for a full year.
Oh my god,
That's so
we did it.
cool.
That's apparently
and
most
you've all grown.
You've all
we have so many
grown.
friends.
Thank you,
Freaky
you're real
friends.
freaky friends. And like apparently this is like most podcasts die in a year. So the fact that we've
Oh, yeah.
survived a year means we're the final girls
We're
now.
the final. Oh my god, we're in our final girl era.
We're in our final girl era, bitches.
Season 2, bitch.
The
Oh my
final girl
God.
era.
Thanks for that's so cool.
Yeah, so look at that. We love you. Thank you
yeah,
for
love you
making
so
that
much.
happen. We also love Warren and Travis.
We do.
Do we?
I mean,
do we
even
love
now,
them?
do we want to give them a shout out on this one?
We love everybody except
But-
Warren and Travis.
For not liking our.
Oh, no,
Ew, that was
so
creepy.
sad.
I didn't like that. So thanks, Warren Langford. Thank you, Travis Fowler. Thank you,
Theo
Theo
Schaefer.
Thank you, Siena.
Thank
for
you,
going
Al.
on this year-long journey of us.
Thank
oh my
you,
God.
Pumpkin.
Thank you, little pumpkin.
Oh, and thank
And,
you, Splice.
Yeah, thanks, Splice.
Thanks, Splice.
Until then, thanks for listening to Splice and Splatter.
The film podcast presented by the Jean Cocteau Cinema in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where classic horror.
It's modern gore. And until
Next time-
season.
Until next
AKA
season.
next episode.
Yeah. We'll be right back.